It's day 2 of the Perfect Game 2024 National Showcase from Chase Field in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, home of the Diamondbacks. We start off day 2 with a game between Team Black and Team Gold. Brett Dolden, David Ronsley, delighted to have you with us off and rolling. This is the same group we introduced you to yesterday with the skills. And, David, each of these teams got in the game. Now we get a chance to see them one more time.
Yeah, boy, did we see a lot of them yesterday between all the drills, the batting practice, and everything like that. We saw them, all 4 of the teams, 10 innings yesterday, 10 innings more. First the black and gold, then following at 12:30, the Columbia blue and gray. And then we turn it all over again and bring in 120 new great athletes into Chase Field.
Yeah, welcome in 4 more teams later on this afternoon. One more look, though, at our roster. Team Black, brought to you by Launch Hydrate. See the primary position on the left, the Perfect Game rank on the right, and it'll take a while to get through this roster because there's 3 pages. Now, again, there are pitchers in the middle of these listings, so not everybody will bat, but we will see a handful of these guys multiple times today, 2 or 3 at bats yesterday. And that is Team Black, again, brought to you by Launch Hydrate. So let's take a look at the first starter we'll see here today. It is Robert Mitchell throwing for Gold.
Yeah, Robert Mitchell, 6'3", 165-pounder from Prestonwood Christian Academy up in Garland, Texas, the Metroplex area. We've seen Robert a lot, not this year so much, saw him a lot last year. 29 innings, only allowed 13 hits, so he's very good at keeping the ball off the barrel. We'll top out in the low 90s with a hard curveball.
His self-scouting report, he says a lively fastball, sits 90 to 92. A little bit further than that. Great command on fastball, changeup, and curve, he says, and tunnels the curveball well off his fastball. A curveball, he says, is a pro-ready pitch. So, with sharp break, change-up, arm side run, and fades, and very athletic on the mound, can play his position. A man who transferred to a private school from a public school between his freshman and sophomore years, and he said the classes were a little bit harder and the workload was crazy, and he's up to 2 a.m. every night. Well, now he gets a break in the summer, and he gets to pitch here at the National Showcase.
And Robert, that's just a great investment in yourself, and that will pay off dividends many times over this course of your life. But all he's thinking about is right now. And pitch number 1, we had in our 2 games yesterday, they were some offensive battles. There were a lot of runs scored, had a couple balls leave the ballpark, but definitely an offensive day on day 1 of this Perfect Game National Showcase. We'll see if the pitchers can bounce back a little bit today.
That surprised you a little bit to see that much offense yesterday?
It does, because when pitchers are on and throwing strikes, they're going to get hitters out at this level, at any level. But the problem was yesterday, pitchers weren't throwing strikes. I think there was way too much adrenaline flowing, guys trying to throw harder than they were capable of, and end up with a lot of walks. And when you get behind, the showcase rules say when you get a 4th ball or a hit by pitch, you have to throw fastballs. And you put good hitters up and all fastball counts, and there's some loud contact.
Yep, you're going to see some offense. So Damian Montanez will lead things off here in the top of the first inning against Robert Mitchell. And the first one's upstairs, and we're off and rolling. Mitchell said over the next year he'd really like to gain 15 or 20 pounds to add to that frame. I think that's a good goal, realistic goal maybe as well. He really works from that far third base side of the rubber. It's got to be a little bit interesting to pick up that baseball, and he gets a swing and a miss.
Yeah, that would be unusual for somebody who obviously has a lot of confidence in the quality of his breaking ball. You'd think that if his breaking ball was his pitch, that he'd be more over on that first base side, just because that creates that much more angle on the breaking ball. But every pitcher has their own comfort zone.
Be interesting to see him throw a changeup to a righty from that spot. He's been firm on those fastballs. Again, Montanez a little bit late. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count.
There's the breaking ball, and there's a swing and miss for strike 3. Nice breaking ball there at the upper 70s.
Thought we might see it there, and he gets the swing and a miss. Always a little bit of a confidence boost right out of the gates.
Yeah, I like Mitchell's delivery. He stays under control real well. There's not a lot of effort at release. He's staying very online and steady with his upper body and his head.
Facing Corbin Reynolds. That one goes all the way to the backstop. Mitchell did commit early to Texas, the fall of his sophomore year, and he said the recruiting process was fun. But Texas was always his dream school. He loves Austin and the business school and whatnot. And, of course, a high-profile coaching change as well. But he's one that, you talk about the school more than the staff. Might be somebody that would love to pitch there regardless of who the coach might be.
And actually, Texas by far leads this national showcase in number of recruits, verbal commitments, and with 16. And we'll just see how many of those follow through with the very high profile, as you said, change in staffs.
And Corbin Reynolds, he is a Vandy commit, so a couple of future potential SEC players.
Corbin Reynolds has been a Vandy commit, I think, since his freshman year. He's in this one for the long term, and that's no different. I mean, there's Vanderbilt has a lot of stability on its staff. We've talked about your school, Arkansas, how stable their coaching staff has been, and that enables them to retain recruits. And no different at Vanderbilt.
And in this era in college sports where culture is the hardest thing because, kids are transferring and leaving schools on a more regular basis, the coaches are too. So when you get a staff that stays together for a long time, it's a little bit easier to talk about culture and whatnot rather than the transient nature we've developed into. And that's a swing and a foul tip by Corbin Reynolds.
Yeah, Reynolds has always been a favorite of mine. I think he's one of the best defensive catchers in this class, and he's consistently shown that when I'm at a ballpark. And this will determine how high he plays, how fast. It's how he swings the bat.
Put our first runner aboard. Corbin Reynolds will stay in the box.
If you're unfamiliar with Perfect Game Showcase rules, and this applies to all showcases, there are no walks or hit by pitches. If you get that ball 4 or hit by pitch, you stay in the batter's box, and you get all fastballs after that. So the pitcher has to throw fastballs. That one catches the top of the strike zone for strike 3. But as a result, we do have a runner on first base.
Tell you what, though, when you put that ghost runner aboard, the next pitch you get strike 3, even if it's maybe just a little bit above the belt or beyond that, you'll take it. Grayson Burleson in. Another Tennessee kid.
Yeah, this black team only had 3 hits yesterday. They were the exception to the 3 of the 4 teams just pounded the ball. We had a 13-10 game yesterday, which is almost unheard of in a showcase setting. But black was the one team that didn't swing the bats. Burleson had one of their 3 hits.
In fact, he had the first hit in the 6th inning, so they were in danger of extending that game in no-hit territory.
Yeah, there was some good pitching, some strikes in that game.
Off and running. Throw is a little bit high and not in time. I mean, it was reasonably close. Pretty good effort behind the plate to try and throw out our ghost runner. Our catcher here in the first couple of innings, Charlie Wortham.
That's Jason Delamar running the bases. Not a great jump, but that throw a little bit high. Delamar able to get under it.
2-1 to Burleson. Wave it a miss. It feels like that pitch is, whether he's been able to throw it for a called strike at the belt or get some swings and misses. He's had 4 or 5 of those this inning.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of vertically induced movement to it, staying up above barrels. And he's not throwing one in the middle of the plate. He's working the edges, especially that upper edge.
So that would be a high spin pitch, in other words?
That would be a high spin pitch.
I'm going to have a quick flip to first base by Wortham to get that strikeout finished off with a 2-3 play to retire Burleson to end the inning. So that's 3 Ks for Mitchell. Good beginning. First of 2 innings for that left-hander. We go to the bottom of the first here in the National Showcase Day 2. Wow. There was some spin on that as well. Underway from Chase. Here's your roster. 14 gold presented by Launch Hydrate. 3 pages worth of players. Not all will bat, but you see the primary position on the left. Perfect game rank on the right. We'll introduce you to these players as we go along. They've already 1 game into their 2 games. And their skills complete as they wrap up their day and a half here in Phoenix. There's page 3 for Team Gold. And first pitcher we're going to see for the black team today that this gold squad will face will be Talon Holiday from Pembroke Pines, American Heritage High School, and the North Carolina commit.
And Talon Holiday is a strike thrower, 6'2", 190 pounds. He threw 7 innings at the recently completed WWBA 17U, allowed 1 hit, no walks, 11 strikeouts, and threw 74% strikes. And that kind of strike throwing ability really stands out. It really stands out anywhere you go, but especially in this competitive environment where pitchers are going and trying to press and all, and to be able to throw that kind of strikes, which we hope we see today, is very impressive.
Self-scouting report. Fastball 89 to 91, 2,300 RPM. Slider, he says 2,900 RPM. And a changeup. He's going to work a couple of innings. Gabe Grodel will lead things off here in the bottom of the first inning for the gold team. You know, you talk about those numbers for Holiday, and it's hard not to just be impressed with the barrage as he misses way in. And he said the biggest challenge he had to overcome in his baseball journey was seeing all of his teammates getting committed and talking to a bunch of schools. And he said nobody wanted anything to do with me. But I kept working through, got my velo up, didn't change who I was. Soon enough, I was the one talking to schools, and it came down to North Carolina and Miami. And he said chose UNC because of the coaching staff, and now he wants to win a national championship in North Carolina. So,
well, he's going to some place where that's always a possibility. So, no, he's just looking at him after a couple pitches. He's going to be the type who steps into the college environment and is successful right away. With his track record of throwing strikes and with his ability to spin that slider. I mean, we've seen 2 sliders in the first 3 pitches already. And as you know, that's a pitch in college that's used a lot. And if you throw it for strikes, it's going to be effective.
Yeah, and that spin number is accurate. I mean, that's one that not many people are going to be in that territory,
no.
That a high 2000s.
And you know what the irony of things are with how statistics and analytics and all the spin rates and stuff is evolving as we get a broken bat there. Ground ball to short.
Good play.
Gabe Grodel out for out number 1. But we look up at the scoreboard here at Big League Chase Field, and we see pitch speed, pitch type, vertically induced break, horizontally induced break. We don't see spin rates anymore. 5 years ago, spin rates were the number. And now we're taking them manually on a radar gun downstairs because there's nothing else in here that's keeping spin rates. That's how quickly we've evolved even off spin rates into pitch shapes and induced movements and things like that. We still keep the velo as we always will.
Sure, of course.
Think. But the spin rates, ironically, are harder for us to find in this big league ballpark.
Charlie Wortham, the batter. Luke Gallo made that play at short to retire Grodel to begin the bottom of the first inning. I think for me sometimes, and maybe this is more the broadcasting aspect when it comes to spin rates, is we're always curious, it's a college game, you know, will he be able to throw a big-time breaking ball that will lock up an umpire or a hitter? Is he going to have the big break that's going to keep the hitters honest? Can he start it at their shoulders and then run it over the plate? Will the umpire miss it? How does that play when it comes to getting ahead in the count, finishing off hitters, whatever that?
Yeah, really what you're talking about is the ability to manipulate the shape and the speed and everything. And we spend a lot of time downstairs talking about, you know, different pitches. And now there's the name for every pitch. I'm not a big sweeper guy, for instance. That pitch has been in existence since, you know, Cy Young was born. They're just calling it something different because they can empirically name it by shapes and spins and stuff. But what you're talking about is just the ability to use that breaking ball as a weapon and shape it to where it's going to be most effective.
Because I think hitters, no matter how many times they see a pitch at about 3,000 spin, they're going to see it high and they're not going to be able to understand it's going to come find them. It's going to finish in the zone.
Yeah. And we really saw that with Robert Mitchell in the first inning. He was throwing that high in the zone fastballs. We get a look at a near pickoff there. You'll see lots of stolen base attempts today. That the runners all have the green light. They're here to show off their skills. So we'll get to see a number of stolen bases. I've got my stopwatch out in case I just get a catcher.
There were a couple of days at the Junior Showcase I was just about to abort your green light rules on base runners, and it was just getting way too chaotic and sloppy and whatnot. And then a poor pitcher, he's struggling, and he gives up a stolen base, no big deal. Then all of a sudden we're running, we're throwing the ball in the left field, and I'm like, let's just concentrate on this matchup a bit.
But we were talking about the shapes of breaking balls, and you think back to Robert Mitchell in the first inning. He picked up 2 strikeouts on big downer breaking balls where he'd been working the fastball up. He tunnels the curveball into the same place. He gets the big vertical break to it, and he gets swing and miss, including that one on a ball that hit the front of the plate. Holliday's breaking ball is completely different shape. It is the sweeper. It has a lot of the horizontal break to it. It had 14, 15 inches on one of those. And it's more the sweeping slider type pitch as opposed to Mitchell's, which is more 12-6.
Makes sense. What's a number on horizontal break that gets your attention, where it's, near the top or elite? Ground ball to third. Maybe a chance for a double play. A little bobble at second base, though. No opportunity for the twin killing. Gabe Boyd over there at second.
Got it right there in Wortham's kitchen on that one. Had to bring the hands in on the fastball.
Ten, 12 inches?
I think that starts to get it, but I was thinking about that, and so much of what we do, what I do personally scouting, what Perfect Game does, you don't have the access to the vertical and horizontal. I mean, a lot of stuff, but at a typical regional showcase, unless you're in a ballpark that is already outfitted with all that, and many of the parks we use are, and that it's a big tool. But I am more of a spin rate guy. And I can see, you should be able to see, if you're paying attention, what kind of shape and what kind of depth the pitch is getting, at least in my opinion. And to be able to, empirically prove that, yes, that was a rising fastball that stayed up, instead of just visualizing it, seeing it, evaluating it through your eyes, that advances it, but still the same thing.
Huenfeld out of Overland Park, Kansas, the batter with a count of 2-0. It's a Kansas commit. Throw to second base might be close, and it is going to be in time. That was a nice throw indeed from Easton Massey. I think they want to finish off the hitter. Yeah,
they're going to have 3. You got to have 3 hitters an inning. We had the runner was thrown. First runner was on a walk, so we're going to get.
That's correct.
One more. 2:03 on that pop time, by the way. He got rid of it quickly. Didn't have a lot of oomph behind the throw, but the whole key here was getting a good pitch to throw on and making an accurate throw. And that's a strike.
I think he was safe. Regardless, I have one thought, depending on how this inning ends. I think the one thing with horizontal break that gets my attention is in this era of sweepers, when a guy has so much movement to the left and then has the sinker to the right, where you're talking about covering 30 inches for a hitter.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And it's being able to control that. And it's like going out saying, I want this sweeper to go this far. I know I'm throwing a sinker, a 2-seamer that does this. I've said for, decades, the 4 things a pitcher can do are make a pitch go fast, make a pitch go slow, make it go to the left, and make it go to the right. And if he can control those aspects, at least maybe 3 of those aspects, he's way ahead in the game, which is to get hitters out.
Ball's blistered into the gap in right center field on the carpet. It's going to roll all the way to the pool area. We've seen a lot of extra base hits, and there was a bobble. Huenfeld, for some reason, stopped. Had he not stopped, he might have been able to round and have a thought process of trying to score, because we saw a couple of inside the park home runs yesterday. But that is the final batter, so he'll settle for an extra base hit into the gap to end this first inning. In a fastball-only count.
Yeah. And Huenfeld, 6'3", 227, ran a 6.660. So He can run, especially when he's got the head down running, but he'll learn how to pick up that third base coach.
Go to the second inning. Game 1, day 2. More Robert Mitchell. All he did, David, was post 3 strikeouts. And you mentioned he had a couple of swings and misses on some pitches with that breaking ball that weren't close to the plate area.
Oh, no, hitters were not picking that up. And I'm impressed, and he's obviously been told this by his coaches about the tunneling the pitches. And that's the whole key. That's what that whole sequence did. The fastball up in the zone that's maintaining its plane. Then you tunnel the breaking ball, and the hitter is seeing the same pitch he saw in the 90 to 92 fastball, and it's a completely different pitch. It's the location and the tunneling of those pitches that's making them effective.
You know, it's something he mentioned in that self-scouting report, and I think when you mention it, sometimes we kind of use that as a basis to watch these kids, and we'll think, all right, we'll see. And then sometimes 4 or 5 pitches in, you're like, well, this is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
He has an understanding of what he wants to do. Usually the really good ones do just that.
Well, let's see if we see the changeup from Robert Mitchell this inning. He mentioned that he had a good one in his self-scouting report. I don't think we saw it in the first inning.
He might have to force himself to show it or throw it.
Well, when he's got 2 pitches that are unequivocally working, that's a hard sell to go with my third pitch.
William Patrick, the batter, went 0 for 2 yesterday. A couple of at-bats.
He was one of the more impressive players in drills, William Patrick was, though, with speed at 6'4" and power and 96-mile-an-hour arm strength, and he really showed out in drills well.
Said yesterday his mom gives him holy water to bless himself before he gets out of the car for every game. So I don't know if that travels to Arizona, but if it does, he's been blessed. Dylan Cruz, the guy he really enjoyed watching the last few years in the state of Louisiana. Went to California, worked with Jared Sandler in January. Going to get him on the right track. But he is a football player as well, in addition to baseball. State champion long jump, 22.9.
Oh, gee, many.
That speaks to your athleticism, doesn't it?
I'm a big track and field guy. I just got done watching the U.S. Olympic track and field trials all last week. So
You're locked in.
yes. That's just pure athletic. I mean, track is athleticism.
You're right. It is
what it is.
It just oozes out of you right there. Put our ghost runner aboard, and now Mitchell will have to work out of the stretch with nobody out in the second, his second inning.
This is one of the downsides of the all fastball count as Mitchell's in right now after that walk, is that if you don't have the rhythm in your release point, you can't say, okay, let me throw a curveball, get back my arm slot, throw a different pitch. You're kind of getting stuck in that rut that got you there in the first place.
Yeah, it does kind of force you into a thought process where that mind and heart starts to beat just a little bit fast, trying to find it on the fly.
And it's actually very instructive for the scouts when they are watching an all fastball count, because if you have hitters that swing through fastballs, as Patrick just did, when they know they're going to get a fastball, that's not necessarily a positive in any way,
Correct.
shape, or form. Whether it's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball or at a smaller showcase, maybe an 80-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a learning point in the scouting process.
Patrick, the guy that has big goals. He wants to hear his name called in the 25 MLB draft. He wants to make Team USA. He wants to play in the All-American game and be the Gatorade Player of the Year in Louisiana. So other than that,
Okay.
set them high. They're free. The pitch is upstairs, so we will put a couple of ghost runners aboard. So it was a very quick inning for Mitchell in the first and efficient. All of a sudden, he's dealing with a handful of base runners still to the first batter in the second.
And being able to throw that one curveball now would be so beneficial to him because he's missing up in the zone continuously. And to get that over the ball with the curveball will just focus him on more of a downward plane, get the ball down in the zone. That was a nice 91-mile-an-hour fastball for strike 3. But that breaking ball can really get you, if you're missing up, get your ball down.
Hitters have not squared up that fastball, even though it's not 95, 96, 91, 92. Trevor Gottsagen out of Colorado, 6'3", 160 yesterday. So that's the number the next group of 4 teams will take a crack at.
And as quick as 6-3-1 is, I think we're gonna see that one go by the wayside later today.
Oh, that bat went a-flying. Guardians had a player making his first big league at bat, and the bat went flying out of his hands in the dugout the other day. His last name Noel, and his teammates, all right, said he's going to hit a homer now, and he did. Next pitch, home run. Threw the bat away and homered. First big league AB, first game. Let's see what Gottsagen does after he retrieves.
There's that breaking ball.
Throw to second is a little bit offline from Wortham. Both runners advanced.
Oh, he had a perfect game All-American big league debut yesterday, and James Wood with the Nationals. Went 1 for 4 with a walk in his first big league appearance.
How many years ago would he have been in the All-American game?
Oh, those are hard questions for me. He's only
figured it
21, 22 years old. So
all right, 5?
It was not long ago.
4? Pitch called strike to Gottsagen.
That's certainly James Wood's one of the top prospects in minor league baseball. Another of these athletic unicorns, 6'6", 220 pounds, can play center field. Just a tremendous athlete.
Mitchell's going to get that K. So even a couple of times this inning with runners on base and maybe fighting his command just a bit, he's able to still come back and finish off these hitters.
Yeah, he's staying in there competing, that's for sure. Then that breaking ball, that's his third strikeout on that breaking ball. Gottsagen was still swinging at the fastball as it was bouncing into the catcher's mitt.
This is Thomas O'Connell. One guy who was in the lineup was Lamar Edwards, who didn't bat yesterday or today, so he apparently is not swinging it in these games. So O'Connell back, and the Virginia commit yesterday did get a single on the day that hits were tough to come by for the black team on a 1-for-2 contest. O'Connell's from Connecticut, committed to Virginia. Artillery Baseball Scout is his travel team. At the top of the zone for a called strike.
And just looking at the analytics on that pitch, at 15 inches of vertical, meaning it stayed up in the zone, but also had 12 inches of run to it, which means it was moving, a fastball moving that much on 2 different planes is going to be deceptive and hard to barrel up.
Well, it would speak to the fact we just haven't seen hitters be comfortable with that pitch at all.
Yeah. Nice block there by Wortham. Got that square in the middle of his chest and just dead it right on top of home plate. That's textbook catching work there. And with runners on second and third, saves a run.
O'Connell says being from New England, it can be challenging when there's snow covering the fields. He has to train intensively through the winter and travel often to be able to play at this level as he fouls one back to the left. Says he does well with 2 strikes, so we'll put that to the test here. 3-2, gap hitter. Starts with his hands high and will wave and miss. So, David, that was a couple of innings from Mitchell. They looked different, yet he struck out 6 in the 2.
Yes, and 4 of those with the breaking ball, and that last one might have been the best one. The first inning we saw that big 12-6 downer that I was talking about. The breaking balls that inning had a little more sweep to them, a little more side-to-side depth, and that ability to manipulate the 2 different pitches is going to really pay benefits from him. And like you said, the hitters weren't doing anything with that fastball either.
They were not. And just kind of seeing the montage of the dig me tape here from Mitchell. Getting a lot of swings and misses. We go to the bottom of the second. Holiday back to work here on the bottom of the second. Gave up a triple and a fastball only count to end the first to Huenfeld, but got a couple of quick outs on the ground as well. Bring you back in Chase Field.
I think young Mr. Holiday came out a little high heartbeat in his first inning. Those first couple sliders he threw were not the quality pitches that he wanted to make, but settled down a bit. Let's see how he does in his second inning of work.
Steven Chuka going to bat here in the second inning. In there from the left side and takes one a little bit up and out from Holiday to begin the second inning. Orlando native, UCF commit. Ran a 6.57 60 yesterday, early in the morning. We started day one with our 60s with these 4 teams.
That's another pitch where, just like with Mitchell before with the black hitters, Chuka did not recognize that slider at all. There's another one. Not any more success with that one. We're getting 15 inches of horizontal on that, so that's a very healthy number. I imagine that they're certainly mid 2000 spin rates.
Does one provide another? Does spin help with?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Horizontal. Obviously, it does vertical.
But yeah, you see that this Holiday's thrown 3 straight sliders. There, righty on lefty sliders. He's throwing them where he wants to. He's throwing them comfortably. It's like he threw a sinker there that just missed inside and low.
As he was getting outs on the ground, I'm sure he'd love to rack up a couple of Ks and try and finish off a few of these hitters. He left that one outside. So we'll put a ghost runner aboard.
Yeah, to me, that's not that slider is not really a swing and miss pitch. Even if it had the upper 2000s, it doesn't have that power to it. He's throwing 88, 91, but it's a oops. What are we doing here? I think we went. He realized he's going from the windup with the runner on first. The ghost runner just it puts a little different. And we generally stay away from box and PG showcases, but that's kind of a hard one to say.
True.
No, we're all good here on. But as I was saying, that doesn't really strike me, especially in the next level right now, as a swing and a miss pitch. Certainly if he throws it for strikes, as he has a long track record of doing, it's going to be an effective pitch, especially working it low and getting that kind of shape to it. But it's not really a swing and miss pitch, I think, at the next level.
Fighting it a bit now here to Shuka. Swinging a foul back out of the glove. Working with Easton Massey behind the plate again, so it's the case where at least the same catcher, same pitcher going at it for a couple of innings, and that's been able to be a little more par for the course when these pitchers have gone 2 innings as they did yesterday. Oh, goodness. That one struck Holiday, and it rolls into right. He limps around as the runner scores, and Shuka will continue to second base with a hit off the pitcher in a literal sense, and that one just sounded painful.
That one stung. I think he just got it right in the thigh, maybe right above the knee. 88 miles an hour off the bat, so it wasn't a rocket, but right there off the side of the knee.
Had he not been with his body turned, that was one where he probably just puts the glove up instinctively and knocks down or catches, but he had kind of turned into it.
He wasn't backing up any bases after that.
He was not.
Yeah, he was just counting body parts at that point.
And this is, of course, early in this inning, so, you'd like to see him face a couple more batters, but right now he's got to walk this thing off, if possible.
And you could see the trainer out there and Holiday pointing to his knee. It got him square on the side of the knee.
Sometimes you laugh through the pain to make it go away. I don't know if it always works or not.
You've got Shuka out there on the mound checking on him. They're both Florida natives. I'm sure they've played a ton. I mentioned before that Texas leading the commitment college pipeline at this national showcase with an impressive 16 total commitments. LSU 13, Vanderbilt 11. There's your Arkansas Razorbacks. They're at 10.
I mean, that's 50 SEC players to 4 schools at the top of that list.
Yeah, and there are no surprise schools in there right now.
There are not.
Those are the blue bloods of college baseball.
Honestly, if you'd ask me a surprise school on that list, I'd say Georgia Tech at the bottom.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's still a storied program. It just is outside the SEC for us SEC homers, and I'm pointing to me, not you. But
well, the school on there for me that jumps out is South Carolina, which, along with being right up the road for me, of course, just made what I considered a pretty amazing coaching change.
Agreed.
With hiring Paul Maneri, who I kind of had filed away as, okay, Paul's done being a head coach.
He had taken it to the house.
Yes, they had pictures of him at a super regional, I think, sitting in the stands with the great Skip Berkman and another veteran type, and it's like, oh, he's entered into that, the old wisdom stage of things. But no, he still had the blood to get in the boiling to get in the dugout, and it's going to be an exciting time in Columbia.
Will be. Max Murray Jr. bats here. He's a UCF commit as well. We're just 1 batter now, 2 batters into this inning against Holiday. See how he bounces back after being struck by that liner.
Well, that's what you need to know there. That was probably his best located slider so far. He'd been throwing it glove side into the left-handed hitters, and he started that one outside and backdoored Murray.
So he gets the strikeout, and here's Wade Shelley, whose BP yesterday, along with the Porters, was something else.
Yeah, he got his timing down real early and just started turning on balls hard to left field. Now in the games, he got jammed a couple times when he was seeing low 90s stuff and wasn't getting the barrel out with the same timing. Let's see how he makes adjustments today.
It's interesting in the BP. I think he had 4 straight home runs. I say think because it was like the home run derby where you're watching a prodigious, and all of a sudden there's another pitch. Then you're watching that one, and pretty soon you're like, hold on a second, I want to observe. I want to watch.
I know exactly what you mean. I have to slow down batting practice pitchers all the time because when you're used to throwing batting practice, as the guys we have throwing, you throw on a rhythm and you throw fast, as we have an out at third.
Indeed we do.
Second thrown out stealing of this young contest.
Well done, Easton Massey. No, we're not on a timer, right? It's not a television event where we're constantly worried about how many pitches we can get in.
Yeah.
We'd like to kind of see and watch and observe.
Yeah, and from the practical, when you're taking notes during a batting practice, which is the whole point of the evaluation, you want to have your time to take your notes and your evaluations. But
Shelley down on strikes, so that finishes it off for Holiday. He bounced back after he got hit by that pitch.
he got bounced back. He got that slider back exactly where he wanted to throw it and finish strong. And you always want to see a young man finish strong at this event.
We go to the third inning from the National Showcase at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Hot outside, nice inside. Michael Sine, the new pitcher out of Orlando. We're up in his grill right there with that shot. His nickname, and this makes me laugh, and I've read it a couple of times, and I'm still laughing. The Chucking Check.
The Chucking Check. Okay.
There we have it. Give you his self-scouting report as well. Says he knows how to calm himself down and think during a tight situation. Knows what tools he's trying to use to get the batter out. Using my slider, my best pitch because of its velocity and break. As for my fastball, a little bit of a rise and run situation. It starts low, then it sinks or gets back up in the zone. Changeup has running action that is great to use for ground outs or pop-ups.
This is a young man who has really missed bats the last 2 years at PG events. Sine, 11 strikeouts or 17 strikeouts in 11 innings this year, 32 in 21 innings last year. As we take a look at Jordan Jacob, big, strong Canadian, we'll see leading off this inning.
Indeed. 74th ranked player, 9th third baseman for the Canadian.
He hit some balls hard yesterday in BP. I mean, numerous, 102, 103. And it's a muscle swing. There's not a lot of shift and movement to it. He is just one of the stronger young men here at the National Showcase. Takes a hack at that first 89-mile-an-hour fastball. It comes up empty.
He did not get cheated in his first swing of the day at 9:43 local time.
But we had 18 inches of vertical and 10 of horizontal in that. So that's a tough fastball to hit with that kind of life. But Sine's been a strike thrower too. You know, he mentioned his slider's his best pitch. Looking at those strikeout numbers, you know, that leads you to believe when you're scouting numbers, when you get high strikeout totals, that a breaking ball is coming into play. But he's a 62, 64% strike thrower on pretty good volume in PGA and WWBA games. So let's see if he brings his good stuff today and his good command.
Interesting approach. He says the area that has grown the most for him since January is, he said, the knowledge and understanding of the hitter and what to get them swinging on has grown the most. And velocity is pumped up too, which doesn't hurt. But I think when you start evaluating hitters and what you can do against certain guys and whatnot, and you start to become even more of a pitcher than just simply a thrower. Put a ghost runner aboard, and now Jacob will see fastballs only in this situation from Sine.
Jordan Jacob, look how intense he is in the box. He's not breathing the look, and he's a little stiff in those hands there. He's such an intense hitter. There, oh, that was his pitch to hit, too.
It was indeed. Strike three, he'll take the fastball, which hurts a little more when you work into that walk out. Then you get the fastballs, and then you take one down the chute.
And that fastball, though, that was 17 vertical, 10 horizontal. That's just a lively pitch at 90 miles an hour. You can see the life on, when you can see the life on the center field camera from 400 feet away, that's a live pitch. You know, you can be in back of the backstop, see it. Certainly if you're on the field. When you can see the movement from 400 feet away, it's a lively pitch.
Yeah, that's something. Here's Gabe Boyd. Boyd was hit by a pitch and then hit a little tapper in front of the plate and also struck out in 2 at-bats yesterday. That's not much fun when you get hit, you stay in there, and then you make contact, but you don't exactly barrel one up. Boyd hits a bouncer to third base. Maybe a chance to go around the horn. There's one. No double play over at first. So the Gold team had the turn from Ethan Moore at second after the ground ball to Senstock.
I see a lot of similar ground balls, similar contact in Michael Sine's future. With the movement he gets on his pitches, the quality of the slider, he's going to be a ground ball pitcher to the max.
This is Easton Massey, who's been active behind the plate throwing out would-be base stealers already. He is the hockey player from Connecticut. He says he's looking forward to both hockey and baseball seasons his senior year, so he's hitting something with a stick in either sport, I would imagine.
I've heard more references to two-sport athletes in the last 2 days than I seem to remember in the past, and I think that's
maybe
great.
It's back in vogue.
Yeah, maybe it's back in vogue. I think it's great, and it's just not. It doesn't seem to be all football, baseball.
Yeah, agreed.
And all you've heard some track guys, we've heard some basketball guys, we've got hockey guys. You know, that's just nice to. I haven't heard any soccer, baseball. Is soccer a spring sport in most places?
Got a feeling it is. So maybe fall in some, and depending on the weather. Says his dad, though, has been in baseball his whole life as a player, a coach, a scout, and his work ethic is second to none. And so dad's a resource, brother and mom, of course, as well.
And you know the cliche about hockey players, they're all low ball hitters. Couldn't catch up to that low slider, though, and that's Michael Sine's pitch. And he picks up a strikeout for out number 3 here in the top of the 3rd inning at the Perfect Game National Showcase from Chase Field.
It's that time we start changing pitchers every couple of innings. We've seen some good ones already today. New pitcher for the black team as well as we go into the bottom of the third inning. Luke Roop out of South Carolina. Big Trevor Bauer fan when it comes to pitching. We'll see what young Luke is able to do here today.
He certainly has the profile build at 6'5", 205. 17 years old, out of North Myrtle Beach High School. South Carolina commitment.
We saw him with a couple of 100-plus exit velos yesterday in BP, I felt like.
Been very effective in a couple outings this summer. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings, only 3 hits allowed, 66% strike ratio.
Says his work ethic has changed, and that has changed a lot of his game, including his velo from a pitching standpoint, and it's helped him pitch better. 4 pitches he can throw for strikes compared to 2, which he felt like last year. Says his spin's about 2,500 to 2,800, and his curveball, he says, is an A++ pitch that he can throw in any count.
Well, he just threw it in 0-0 and 0-1. So, and it's the scoreboard's identifying it as a curveball. That's that sort of slurvy, what I'd call a slurvy slider, upper 70s, bigger than a true slider, not as strong, but still's got some power to it.
It's interesting. He said curveball is an A++ pitch, and the slider is an A+ pitch, more of a sweeper, and so maybe he works them both in.
We'll see.
Ty Kennedy down in the count, 1-2.
And Roop's personal catcher for the next 2 innings will be Cade Goldstein. So that's definitely part of the plan when putting together lineups and rotations of the players, is putting catchers with pitchers for both innings, and that way you can go warm them up in the bullpen and you get to know what their pitchers are, because these are the first time in almost every situation, unless you play for the same high school or summer team, that these catchers have caught these pitchers, and it just works best to give them at least a little bit of familiarity.
All right, we were talking about multiple sports. I got one for you on Ty Kennedy as he chops one to third. That is a foul ball, allowing me to continue my story. He said his next best sport is bowling. So there you go.
I think everybody who's a baseball fan knows who the all-time best bowler in Major League Baseball is.
Well, it's the same guy he enjoys following, Mookie, right?
Yeah, of course. There's no coincidence there, I'm sure. Mookie's career 300 games, and was all-state in high school in bowling.
Ty said he's advanced to the state playoffs all 3 years in bowling. So there you go.
Good for Ty Kennedy.
Both of his parents are educators. His father's been teaching and coaching baseball for 28 years. His mom's an elementary teacher and an online professor for Purdue. So they pushed him to do well academically. 4.0 student is Ty Kennedy. Going to wave and miss as Roop gets him to chase the K to begin the third inning. Brings up Miles Mace.
Yeah, I'm calling that a slider.
Okay.
They're calling it a curveball on the scoreboard.
Look sliderish on that replay.
Yeah, that slider's, and Roop throws from that high 3/4, almost overhand slot, and he's getting over that slider. Well, that is a true slider. That was that short little 83. It has more power to it, so I can see the differentiation. And
there's
intent there. That was an intent to throw a different pitch. So while I called that a slider, that's probably what he calls a curveball or a sweeper. But he's right. There are 2 distinct pitches, and it's pretty rare for a 17-year-old to throw 2 distinct breaking balls with some quality like that.
I'm with you. Miles Mace, the hitter, batting for the first time today. Young man who goes to PDG Academy. He said certainly the toughest thing he had to do was move to Virginia to attend a baseball academy while his mom was receiving cancer treatment, had to have surgery, and had to stay focused on school and baseball while being away from home. One of the aspects that's always challenging for these young men, leaving for these various academies when you're separated from your support system.
Yeah,
and vice versa.
And maybe 7, 8 years ago, the only time you would have ever heard about that was with IMG, of course, in Florida. But that's just one of a few dozen now. I mean, it is so proliferated, with the advent, especially of online learning. It's enabled these kids to continue their education in a more baseball-oriented environment. But any number of excellent academies up and down the East Coast.
Yeah, you're right. A lot more. That's a swing and a miss and a strikeout completed at first. So Roop is phase 2, struck out 2.
Just shook off the catcher on that. Let's see what he prefers. Was going with the fastball. Oh, that was a changeup, actually. That was a changeup. So he's shown us 4 separate offerings. He dropped his release slot on that, so it's still a pitch he's working on, but it was a strike and it had some life to it.
Nothing in 2 quickly to send Stock.
2 shakeoffs. Yeah, third option here. Went with the 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Classify that as a sinker with 18 inches of vertical and 15 inches of horizontal.
And that's a wave and a miss. So Roop had quite an inning.
He did have quite an inning, and I like his self-coaching with the A++ and the A, because that kind of is how it worked out for him. And heck, he's throwing 90 up to 93 with big life. Young man has all the pitches from South Carolina.
Michael Sine back to work. Seeing these pitchers again for multiple innings per usual, but Sine just cruised through the third, picked up a couple of strikeouts.
The chuck and check.
The chucking check.
That reminds me of the trip I made with Perfect Game. I think it was maybe 5 years ago, just pre-COVID, to the Czech Republic for a week of baseball.
Is that right?
Yes. Perfect Game's been. That was their first real foray into Europe. Got to see some very interesting players, and really just a unique experience, and just not a baseball context, but a life context.
That'd be something else to be able to take part in that. As you would think, as this game starts to explode, and we've seen it in basketball recently, where it has much more of an international feel to it, and you can really start to imagine more and more players coming out of those areas.
And that's something I think all sports. I know the NBA has been probably the most proactive, and the NFL is certainly active, is making their games, really a worldwide, business.
That's true.
And baseball has always had a tremendous advantage with Latin America and the places where baseball is the national sport. We see how many players in Major League Baseball, minor league baseball now from Japan and Korea, and how much baseball's grown there, and how the relationships with their professional leagues and the different type of players we're seeing come to the United States from the Orient.
Christopher Levi Gutierrez is going to lead things off this inning. American Heritage High School in Florida. He's a big Dansby Swanson fan. Francisco Lindor going to wave and miss from Sine to begin the fourth inning.
Well, we definitely have a theme of our pitchers so far, and that is the breaking ball. You know, Sine's slider there. Every one of these pitchers has really had the breaking ball as their top pitch, and for the most part, they're doing an outstanding job of throwing it for strikes. We've seen a whole different pace to this game than the two games yesterday, with pitchers who are not out there just trying to put up a number on a radar gun. Because that's the impression you got yesterday. Is you had a lot of pitchers who were looking back up at the scoreboard after a pitch instead of looking into the catcher for the next sign. And these guys are out here really pitching, and it's showing in some of the swings we see from these hitters.
Swings have not been comfortable. You're completely right. Maybe instead of overwhelming guys with velo, you're trying to overwhelm them with various pitches, and then he came back with a fastball, and there's a base hit by Gutierrez.
And that's a nice piece of hitting. He got a fastball in the inside half. He was on balance. He didn't try to do too much with it, and he gets rewarded with a trip to first base. First hit of the day for the black team, which, as we said, only picked up 3 yesterday. So
it didn't get their first until the 6th inning. So it was a process of just trying to get a few guys on, because then you're trying to cycle through the lineup, trying to get these guys. And at bat here or there is Quinn Carson. Next man in, another Canadian.
And we were actually talking about that down below, where you see the perfect game scouts. Vinny Cervino and Greg Sabers, Jared Goodwin, Joey Cohen down there. We were talking about that during the Blacks game when they had 2 hits and the other team had 12. And it's like there's some players that aren't going to get as many at-bats as they need to, because they just need to get more base runners.
Well, this one just took a chunk out of our catcher, and it was, this was not a comfortable situation at all. Off the side of the mask of...
It's that Evan DeMario behind is scheduled to be the catcher. And then right on the next pitch, he's got to block a slider outside with a runner on base.
Although I don't think that's Evan. So he was scheduled to catch, but it looks like a different body type than him. Two balls and a strike. Carson plays for the Fieldhouse Pirates.
Excellent job blocking that. And we'll try to get the number. It's near impossible from where we're sitting with the cameras, with the equipment that catcher uses, if it's not who's on the lineup card is catching in the 4th inning.
Big chopper fouled outside of third base. Well, that's not a 6, I don't think. That's not a single-digit number. Almost wonder if it's Miles Mace, who is scheduled to work next inning.
Could be.
Lifted to center, hit rather well. This ball is going to carry. It'll be put away shy of the warning track area. Groldo with the grab, and we'll have an advancement on the tag.
One of the hardest hit balls we've seen so far. 363 off the bat, 93 exit velocity.
Now that's number 7, Jason Delahunty.
It's a big yard when you get out there from left center to right center. Jason Delamar batting. Found one right at the plate.
It's that first pitch slider that creates such uncomfortable swings.
Like that.
It's too different. And the ability to locate it. First pitch, 0-0 count, throw it at the hip, drop it in the strike zone. You get a weak swing. Now you start that one over the plate, drop it outside the strike zone, and you get even a weaker hack.
And if you're a hitter, your mind has to be racing. Now, you've seen 2 pitches, nothing close to a fastball. You're down 0-2, and then he threw one that almost hit me in the hip that didn't miss that far in. But I'm not going to stick around to find out.
Let's see if the Chuck and Check comes back with the heater on this one. Nope. Sticking with the breaking ball.
Kind of guide that one a little bit, maybe?
I think he guided the last 2, really. And that's you're up in the count, and maybe you're trying to get a little cute with it.
There he spiked the fastball. His velocity's been in that 87-ish, 88 range. So all of a sudden the count went from 0-2 to Delamar now to full. Sine closes off from that set position, the pause and the pitch. Delamar spoiled it. Pretty good battle shaping up here. Another payoff swing and a foul that got a chunk out of Mace, and
Mace is getting beat up.
yeah, he's wearing it.
He's, you know, when you throw a lot of breaking balls, as Sine does, you're going to have to block him. He's got 2 foul balls one off his mask and one off his body.
And there's the wave of the miss. So Sine won the battle against Delamar. Just took him a while to get the second out of the inning.
Now batting number 8, Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz next in. Nick yesterday had a couple of strikeouts in his 2 at-bats for this tall, lanky, right-handed hitter out of Florida. Black team trying to get their first run. Have the hit from Levi Gutierrez this inning. Yesterday, their first hit came in the 6th. It's an elevated pitch that the wave of the miss occurs on, the high fastball.
And with that 0-1 fastball up in the zone, of course, he's set up perfectly for the 0-2 slider away.
Pitch backed up on it.
He did.
Second of 2 innings for Sine. He struck out 3 to this point in an inning and 2/3. By the mound, that one's just going to continue to roll into center. Play was not made at second by Moore. He may have rushed that just a bit.
I think he had more time than he realized and was trying to make the play on the run, cutting in front of the bag. And we have Black on the scoreboard.
And they get a run.
Yeah, and sometimes you wonder how in a game like this where all the infielders are shortstops, that's where they play in high school, mostly with their travel teams, how much going over to the other side of the bag at second base and the different angles might have impacted the route he took to the ball, where he got his glove down, and some of the basics.
I think it's a natural question to ask. As Luke Gallo bats.
Yeah, the assumption always is, well, if you can play shortstop, you can play second, you can play third. Well, that means you have the physical tools to do it. Shortstop being the hardest.
You don't have
of
the
three.
reps.
Yeah, but you don't have the reps. You don't have the comfort zone that you can play in necessarily. Some players naturally can do that. Mookie Betts can naturally go anywhere on the field and be at home, it seems.
Luke Gallo, the batter. That's something you'll never see in a big league game. That ball hit to the backstop, ricocheted back out to Sine. He picked it up, looked at it, and said, "Everybody just go back to work with it."
Well, maybe Mr. Sinay's picked up on the fact that a scuffed ball breaks better.
This is trouble down the line in right. May go foul and will. Off the bat of Luke Gallo. You can't see a ball even skip in the dirt in the big leagues without it coming out immediately.
No, it's automatic. Catcher will get a ball in the dirt, and he'll just throw it, off to the side.
One ball, two strikes to Luke Gallo, batting here in the top of the fourth inning. Each team has played at a run so far, and this will be the final game for these two teams before their stay at the showcase is over. Chopper to the left side, and really no attempt at first to get the out. Preston Yacher got to that high chopper. I think that'll end our inning.
That will end our inning with 5 hitters, and that was a chopper. If we see that one again, that was a swing at the fastball up by your shoulders and chop it in the hole, but a base hit nonetheless. Yep, that's chopping at the ball.
Gallo will get the base hit out of all that. 5 batters, ends our inning with a run coming across for the black team. Underway with this black and gold game as we're in the bottom of the fourth inning. Columbia blue and gray will be the second contest. It'll start at 12:30 Pacific time, Arizona time, and then, as David mentioned, we'll welcome in 4 more teams for the team workout starting later on this afternoon.
Yeah, this is really 3 different showcases. We got 4 teams come in, do all their business. Early this afternoon, we'll have another 4 teams worth of players checking in and getting ready to go. And then finally, 4 more teams to finish the week by Friday afternoon. So a full week of baseball here at Chase Field.
You aren't kidding.
And a shout out to the Diamondbacks' entire organization for hosting us. And they do a great job. We are so comfortable here. As far as I'm concerned, we can do the National and the All-American game here in perpetuity. Such a great location. We stay at a hotel 3 blocks away, walk back and forth, keep life simple, and watch a lot of great baseball.
Perpetuity, I like that. I'll second that. Preston Yacher, the batter. There's that pitch from Roop again. We saw the slider and the curveball. And David, speak again to the uniqueness of maybe one pitcher being able to throw both of those.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that challenges a lot of big league pitchers. They're 2 different pitches thrown with different hand positions, different pressure points, and to be able to throw both is a feel thing. And it's not like you can go say, I'm going to throw 50 curveballs today and 50 sliders tomorrow. It's something you have to have feel for. It's not something you practice every day. And to get the differentiation, so a lot of pitchers will, I have a curveball and a slider. No, they really don't. They're throwing the same pitch and just slowing their arm on one or dropping an arm slot, which makes it a pretty ineffective pitch. But Roop has 2 legitimate power slider at 83, big sweeper type at 77, 78, that he can weaponize both the pitches. And he's been up to 93 and thrown a changeup.
That too. And he struck out Yacher, and this is Ethan Moore now who steps in. Wanted to mention on Yacher, though, he was talking about something he was working as far as kind of a mindset coach in addition to just his normal hitting coaches and whatnot, kind of getting into the mental aspect of baseball because, you know, that comes into play. And Ethan Moore seeing
that was
a couple of quick strikes.
That was a nice changeup. He got the release slot a little higher on it. Big fading action, 14 inches of fade to it. So he has flashed 4 solid potential plus pitches this outing.
And that's another thing where we will have guys in their scouting reports say, you know, I throw 4 or 5 pitches, and we're kind of like, well, what are your 2? You know, obviously fastball and what breaking ball. Well, he is throwing.
Yeah, he's thrown multiple examples of 4 different pitches, and he's thrown them with quality and around the strike zone.
And Moore just made contact there to stay alive.
And that's where catchers and umpires get beat up, is on foul balls where you misdirect it.
Cade Goldstein behind the plate this inning again with Roop. Went up and in. Tell you what, you start thinking and looking for pitches, and then you get one at your chin, and that's not a lot of fun for a hitter either.
Yeah, 0-2 count, you throw that up and in, and now you can throw any pitch in your 4-pitch arsenal, and it has a good chance to be effective if you locate it.
Little flare, fisted out, and a diving attempt will not be made. A base hit for Moore. The glasses, the hat, everything went flying off our shortstop, Gabe Boyd.
That would have been the play of the event so far if he'd come up with that little pop-up. Roop got this breaking ball. That was not his best pitch of his outing, but you see Boyd going all out. Just over his glove.
He lost most of his equipment, but he almost caught the baseball. This is Cameron Beck. Great jump from Moore. Not even a chance to make a throw. Beck is the Utah native, committed to Oregon State. Big Aaron Judge fan. Who isn't, I guess, at times, just admiring what he's been able to do.
Beck was very impressive with his strength in batting practice. He had some well over 100-mile exit velocities. You see that 6'3", 215, obviously passes the number in the eye test. Not a real conventional swing, but there's some
with the feet close together,
there.
in other words,
yeah.
maybe?
Yeah, and it's a long, whippy barrel path. But it's whippy. He's got loose hands, and the ball really comes off the barrel hard.
Feels like Seager stands a little bit like that from the left side as far as kind of upright, not a big, wide base. Good pitch on the corner. It said 89.8 on the scoreboard, said 90 on our reading, and I think as a pitcher you want that.
Yes, you round up.
The difference between 89.8 and 90 isn't much, but sure, looks better. The 2-2. Wave and a miss. Slow curveball. Gets strike 3.
He swung at a fastball there and got a curveball. You could see the bat speed though. There's definite bat speed there.
Caleb Ricks has had to wait a long time to bat.
There we see that breaking ball again.
That pitch on that outside corner to those righties has been painted on a few here in recent succession to Ricks, the Kentucky native.
Just misses low with that one, but with the same idea. Like that was a changeup again. and got that to the glove side, which is not always easy for a right-handed pitcher to get a changeup glove side. But if you can, it's a very effective pitch.
You know, it's unusual. This game has had some drag to it, even though there's been only 5 hits and most of those have been singles. I think the pitchers have just kept these hitters from being able to put the ball in play a lot.
Yeah. It's not a lot of early count outs, 10, 12 pitch innings, because the breaking balls have been so good that hitters just haven't been able to do anything with them.
And then it becomes kind of a battle of attrition. Once you get ahead as the pitcher, can you finish off? Do you want to kind of monkey around just a bit and throw some different pitches at these guys, or do you want to go right after them? And sometimes you're trying to showcase your entire ability in addition to...
And we've seen in this count, we saw it last inning with Sané. You get ahead 0-2, and then you start picking. You start trying to throw the perfect pitch. You try to nibble. You try to, maybe do a little bit more than you're capable of doing. It's like, hey, I've got this guy 0-2. He has no idea what I'm going to throw. Why don't I throw 91 down the middle and get my shortstop a ground ball? That comes with maturity.
I think it does.
I don't even think that's encouraged anymore. It seems like if you don't strike somebody out, you can't pitch all of a sudden.
It's almost as if you don't exist. Correct. So a couple of runners aboard, but 2 outs here in this 4th inning. Ricks was excited about working a walk, and he took off to first, and then he slammed on the brakes and climbs back in, and now he's spoiling a few pitches in this fastball-only count from Roop. So for a pitcher who likes to throw multiple breaking pitches and off-speed pitches, now it does kind of tie your hands a bit.
Well, Roop's maintaining his velocity. That was 92 with almost 20 inches of vertical on it. So he comes about his velocity pretty easily. I don't think he's really reaching back or max efforting to get 91, 92, 93, and that speaks well.
Little fister towards short. Ricks racing up the line, will be retired. And the inning comes to an end. So the play at short made by Boyd, who almost made the catch earlier. Hey, we've completed 4 innings. Tied at 1 as Roop finishes his work.
Yeah, and I like this young man. It's the 4 pitches. It's the 4 quality pitches. There's no fear on throwing them at any time. And how many good changeups have we seen in the 2 days so far? That might have been the best changeup that we've seen from the big 6'5" right-hander.
We go to the 5th inning. New pitcher coming on to work for the Gold team, Aiden Tomlinson, Henrietta, Oklahoma commit.
And I think this is one of the young men who just in the last week or 2 has got his invite to the Perfect Game National, as we really didn't have him on the map aside from having a commitment to the University of Oklahoma. But he went down at the WWBA 17U last week in Georgia and threw outstanding for the Scorpions 205 scout team, was 90 to 92 with 3 pitches for strikes. Profile 6'5", 205 frame. So a young man who's really kind of making his debut on the high-profile scouting circuit.
Says explosive movements, easy arm action, gets down the mound and gets on top of hitters. Fastball into the low 90s, topping it at 94, paired with a low 80s slider, mid-70s curve, a low 80s changeup, and competes. And the guy he enjoys watching pitch and work is Max Scherzer. Said he spent countless hours kind of mastering his routine and cues. This is Cade Goldstein to begin things.
92 on the first fastball, high 3/4 arm slot. It's dropped it a little bit there, so.
Goldstein got a couple of at-bats yesterday. This is first today, so we're trying to get this Black team that's not had a ton of hits to cycle through. Get these guys a couple of at-bats, ABs. And Tomlinson is scheduled to work both this inning and next. Aiden's father passed away at the age of 13, and of course, Dad was his coach when he was little. You lose your mentor, you lose your coach, and certainly a very difficult phase in his life. Said he wants to use that, though, as motivation to be great. Kind of honor Dad. Pitch is just above the belt. We put a runner aboard at first. Ghost runner.
Yeah, what Tomlinson needs to do is take a couple steps off behind the mound and get the dirt out of his cleats and take a deep breath, because he's almost out there hyperventilating, it looks like right now. In fact, he went down 3-0 and then threw 2 changeups, just let up, and threw 84 to get back in the strike zone. And he's getting real rushed and changing his arm slot on virtually every throw. But if he gets settled down, but this was relatively new to the Oklahoma native. We saw him pitch once in 2021 before last week when he was throwing 73 miles an hour. And this is then the third time we've seen him throw. One thing that stands out is I don't think he's going to be able to throw a straight pitch. And those balls are just taken off. 15 inches of horizontal on a 93 mile an hour fastball is just big, big life. When you see catchers box balls like that, that means they're just trying to get the glove on them themselves.
Trying to survive.
Yeah.
That's Charlie Wortham behind the plate. And then Tomlinson picks up the K.
Yeah, if Tomlinson can harness that movement in the strike zone, that's going to be real tough to square up, because you're not going to throw a fastball that combines velocity and movement much better. Look at the sink on that. That's just disappearing.
That's not fair.
Yeah, that.
This is Owen Gregg, and that might explain why, it's not easy behind the plate catching that either.
No, not at all.
Owen Gregg, the Utah commit. Had a couple of flyouts yesterday to right and center in his 2 at-bats in the early game. Right now, Wortham's having a hard time. A few of those pitchers have gone from down in the dirt to up, and we're going to have a runner try and score from second base on a wild pitch, and he's not going to make it. It was a daring attempt, to say the least, by Easton Massey.
I think it took Wortham a little while to identify where that pitch went, and the runner trying to take advantage of it. Tomlinson a little slow off the mound, but all ends well. It ends well.
That's a case where if Tomlinson's one step closer to the mound than the plate, or that throws a little bit away from where it ended up, you're not going to get that out.
Runner on first base again after a second walk.
Greg yet to see a strike. So you've seen a few pitches with the sink. You've seen a few that have gone over the head of Wortham. So it's a wide.
The consistency in the release point is non-existent. You've seen him high three quarters, and when he gets on top of the balls, when you're seeing that heavy sink. When he's dropping his slot more on the side three quarters, you're getting big run. You're getting some ride up over the strike zone. It's getting consistent. I think his best pitch is right there, that higher three quarters, where he's getting some angle on his pitches, and gets one out there at second base. Do we get another at second base?
Well,
no.
we already had 3 outs. So we had the strikeout. We had the out at the plate.
I think we're trying to get to the 3-hitter mark with these walks in the inning. Is that going to be it? No, I think we're going to have one more hitter. We're going to clear the bases with the 3 outs, as you referenced, and put a... No, we're going to have a runner go out to second. And you are keeping a scorecard of this, aren't you?
Well, I attempt to, yes. But it's when you get multiple ghost runners and the same batters that things start to go haywire.
There's that change up, and that has a chance to be a nice pitch. You can see the huge near 20 inches of horizontal break on that. Ooh, that stung.
Hope they got the elbow guard there for Manny.
Manny Lantigua, switch hitter at the plate, and yes, he does have that elbow guard, and he's happy for it. I think we might see Lantigua throw a top of the 11th inning this game. I'm not positive, but he's on the scorecard, and he's a quality secondary pitcher who's, shown us low 90s in the past. So we may see Lantigua in another role as that goes straight to the backstop. Now into left field.
A snowball fight going now. Love to see Tomlinson kind of harness it in, because again, he's got some abilities that other guys don't naturally have.
Oh, no. Yeah, there's a lot of raw talent there. There's a lot of stuff that still needs worked on, and without having really a history on him, it's hard to tell how much he's thrown, at what level he's thrown at. But the physical, it's unquestioned. He has some real high level physical talent to develop.
One and two. Antigua sends one down the line and left, but it's going to be foul to the left of the pole near the edge of the bullpen. What we've seen again continues, just not a lot of balls put in play, and some of those that have been put in play have not been squared up or barreled up.
And I just looking at Henrietta, Oklahoma, and hadn't really heard of Henrietta, and I can see why. It's a small town over towards the Arkansas border of 5,000 residents, eastern Oklahoma.
Antigua dumps one into right for a base hit. Might produce another run. The throw to the plate is late, and Antigua gets an RBI hit to help out the black team, plating a couple of runs this inning, and that'll do it for the frame. Yeah, Tiny Henrietta. Tomlinson scheduled to pitch the 6th. Got a couple of runs to the black team. A little bit of everything in this frame, including this out at the plate. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Black put a couple of runs on the board against Gold, and now Black David has a new pitcher, Adria Casaliba.
Yes, Adria Casaliba, along with having a great name, has an interesting background. One of the older players here at 18 years, 8 months. I believe he used to be a primary third baseman. Goes to Georgia Premier Academy, 6'3", 215. But very strong arm. He's been up to 95 on his fastball. Earlier this year, 27 strikeouts and 18 WWBA innings. So we're going to see some gas here. We saw some a lot of 95s, 94s yesterday. We really haven't seen the velo numbers. I think Tomlinson and Roop have hit 93 as our top fastballs today. I think we're going to surpass that right here with Adria Casaliba.
I like that.
He certainly has that mature build that befits his being, about a year older than most of the other players here.
Joseph Parker's going to lead off. He's had to wait a long time to get an at-bat in this game. Put on a show in batting practice.
He put a show in the game yesterday too.
Yes.
He's been all barrels. If he's swung the bat 13 times, 10 in BP and 3 in the games, he's got 13 barrels, and that's number 14 right there.
Adding on.
Has that shot into left. That's at least his third base hit, but he is literally 14 for 14 on barrels.
What an amazing couple of days.
Yeah, and he's a young man that I got a scowl from some PG staff because I'm like, what's Joseph Parker ranked 274th for? And, especially with his brother Jacob being the number 15th ranked player in the country. Evidently, Joseph, what they said, has prioritized football to a degree and hasn't played in many events. We just haven't seen him very much. And this is one, he hasn't been to a showcase since 2022. And that was just a workout showcase. So it's a matter of us getting really our longest look at him so far in his career. We've seen his brother Jacob far, far more, but that's a special bat on this young man.
Yes.
I mean, just everything on the barrel.
Landon Schaefer doubled yesterday, hit a long BP home run way up into the stands and sends one down the line in right, and that's fair, and it's into the corner. So Parker's going to sprint around third. He's going to be waved in. Schaefer's not stopping at second. It's on his way to third with a stand-up triple. There's a couple of big bats at the top of this Gold lineup. Had to wait a long time to swing it today, and they're delivering.
They're coming off hot off the bench. They must be in the batting tunnel underneath, staying warm, because those are two hard barrels. Casaliba, as promised, coming out throwing 95, but he hasn't missed a barrel yet.
So a single and a triple. And Groldo did bat to start this game and bounced to short way back when. There's a pitch to carry it off the plate. Got a wave and a miss.
Big sweeping slider at 80 miles an hour.
Next pitch, cut and a miss. Similar looking.
After seeing two barrels off his 95s, Casaliba and the catcher making a quick adjustment, saying, "Okay, let's break out the slider here and mix it up a bit." And that looks like he's going to throw another one here, reading the catcher's signals. Where the catcher's setting up. Yep, there's a fourth slider grounded to third base.
Groldo, will he beat it out? He does not. A run will score. So that is 3 straight hits.
A nice play by the third baseman there. But Groldo, a 6'4" runner, is going to get down the line, got out of the box well. He's going to beat that out pretty much the whole way.
Luke Gallo made a pretty good effort at it, but you're right. No chance to make that play. So 3 straight hits. Charlie Wortham now the 4th man to bat this inning.
Nice job, by the way, by Grayson Burleson at first base on that pick. I thought that ball was going down the right field line. Burleson picked it cleanly.
Pitch is high, throw is low. It's going to be a stolen base for Grotto, showing off his speed after he legged out the infield hit and got the RBI to put himself in scoring position for one of these next two hitters.
And one thing you learn trying to use a stopwatch in a TV booth is doesn't work. It doesn't work off the replay as that's lined into right center field. Looks like extra bases for Charlie Wortham, and it is.
RBI double.
Wortham's been very busy behind the plate. He's probably just relieved to get the equipment off and get up to where he can swing the bat.
Gold teams come out swinging. They put 3 runs on the board. Should be this the final batter, Crew Huenfeld, out of Overland Park, Kansas.
Yeah, we've got 4 hits already this inning.
For a team that had 3 in the previous 4 innings.
Huenfeld hit a rope to right center field his last time up.
Just continued to third, got the triple as the final batter of the inning. Should be the case here as well. Final hitter. Our first base coach is collecting equipment right now with all the base runners they've seen.
Yeah, Rico Phillips over there at first base looks like the working at Dick's Sporting Goods or something.
Feels like he's got his armpits loaded down with equipment, his hands.
There is a school of thought amongst grumpy old baseball people like myself that if you wear it to the plate, you should have to wear it on the bases as well.
I might second that. And I don't know if I'm officially old and grumpy, but I'm probably more of that ilk than anything else. And I don't know why you just couldn't run with it from second to home.
It's good enough to get you to second.
Sure. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Huenfeld. Another one that's spiked in the dirt. Our catcher doesn't see it. So this might be the second opportunity we're going to have for a wild pitch to plate a guy from second. This time it works out successfully. We put a different runner over at second base. It was Joseph Parker. He might have scored from first on this wild pitch.
And although we still have Huenfeld in the at the plate here. Yeah, in fact, there's nobody covering home on that. All three players went home, and they could have scored from first base.
Corbin Reynolds just never saw it. And that's going to be good enough for strike 3. So that'll be the 5th batter to end the inning. So Casaliba pitched the first of 2. A little bit frustrated some of the contact the Gold team made against him. Some good hitters got after him, and it'll send us to the 6th. A few more runs here as of late. Gold in front 5-3. Well, Tomlinson pitched last inning. Back out now for a second inning of work. We saw a couple of pitches with some sink that were really impressive. Few went to the backstop as well, just trying to find that release point, harness it in. I'm curious now if maybe a reset in that dugout might help.
Yeah, just a little lower pulse coming in this time. Stay back a bit over the rubber, better pace. Because I can guarantee you, if he, of all the pitchers we've seen so far, if he throws that fastball in his strike zone, he doesn't need a breaking ball. He can go out.
You're right.
He can. If he threw 7 or 8 straight fastballs in the strike zone, this inning would be over. Because I don't think anybody's going to really square up his fastball with the 92, 93, and especially with that heavy life to it.
No doubt.
So this is just a matter of throw the ball at the middle of the plate and let your natural movement get the hitters out.
Damian Montanez lays off the 6th. And he's going to rip one into right center for a base hit.
And he just threw the straightest fastball he has thrown so far. Absolute, straight as an arrow fastball right down the middle of the plate. So, and Montanez, to his credit, knew exactly what to do with it. Nice, short, crisp swing. Oxen in the backside for a inning opening single.
Corbin Reynolds, next man in. Reynolds struck out looking in his only at bat.
That's the changeup, and that's a pretty hellacious pitch for a high school pitcher who's just learning how to throw the ball, really, to get that kind of life. I remember 3 decades ago, probably, when I was working with the Astros, and we just drafted Todd Jones. You remember, longtime big leaguer Todd Jones. Drafted him in the compensation round, first round, and he threw as hard as anybody in baseball back then. When 95, 96, was special elite velocity. And he didn't throw a lot of strikes because his fastball moved so much, and we had to go, Todd, just throw the ball at the middle of the plate. Just throw the ball, let the movement do everything. You're trying to spot your fastball when you don't need to. It's 96 and is darting all over the place,
right,
and you don't even know where it's going. And I think, Tomlinson's much situation right here. He gets that's glove side run that's coming out of the left-handed batter's box onto the outside corner. There's no way for a hitter to hit that in the low 90s.
Burleson, the batter. Throw to second base was not caught cleanly, so a bag for Montanez. I think that's Wortham back behind the plate. Our catching defensive chart has been a mystery today. It's not been close, so these guys might be maneuvering a little bit amongst themselves. These catchers have had a lot of work to do, with pitchers either throwing really good breaking balls or those that have had natural movement that have been tough to harness. Wave it a miss at the high one. Fastball at 91.4.
And that one had a completely different shape profile than his other ones. That was 15 inches of vertical and virtually no horizontal. So that was the rider up in the zone. And I don't know whether Tomlinson is doing any of this with intent, with grips or anything, but there's so much variety on that fastball. But then you get that one that's straight and down the middle, as that one is, and it becomes hittable.
Burleson with the RBI single to center, chasing home Montanez with a black run.
Burleson continues to be one of the bright offensive spots for the black team. Got 92 right in the middle of the plate. All barrel.
Back to the top of the lineup in William Patrick. Takes that pitch off the corner for a ball. Patrick struck out when he batted much earlier in this game. We're now in the 6th. On the ground and fair. Down the line, just missing our camera guys and rolling into the corner. Burleson to third. He's going to be waved in. Patrick will hold at second base with an RBI double.
Yeah, Patrick had some trouble with the fastball his first time up. He made the adjustments. Got a fastball on the inside half here and hit it hard down the third baseline, and waiting to see if he could stretch a triple out of that, even though it was into the left field corner with his speed. But left fielder fielded it cleanly. Well, we have a 5-5 ball game for those of you who are paying attention to the score.
There we go. And got Sagan bats. Should be the fifth batter this inning.
Yeah, we had a 1-0 ball game going into the fourth. We've had a lot more activity on the bases the last couple innings.
Pitchers that threw the breaking ball stayed away from the bats, and those that have been more willing to lean into the fastballs have seen these good hitters sort of make them pay a bit.
Yeah, and we saw Casaliba finally got an out when he went to his slider more. Tomlinson has yet to land his curveball for a strike yet. I think he's about 0 for 5 or so, and he's his fastball changeup. That was a nice changeup there. On a 2-0 count, he's going with his changeup, which indicates what he has confidence in now. It's certainly change over curveball.
Poke to right, another base hit. Patrick to third. He'll head to the plate and score standing on the single from Scott Sagan, and that is a 5-batter inning. Good swings that frame from the black team.
It looks like Tomlinson just got a little less movement on his fastball that inning. He left some fastballs there right in the middle of the plate, so a good velocity, but didn't have the movement he got, and he found some barrels. So we got a 6-5 ball game with Black going into the bottom of the 6th inning.
PerfectGame.tv is your home for amateur baseball. Want to encourage you to download the Perfect Game TV app today. Available on many devices, and you can watch free live coverage of past games, showcases, all the wonderful content and interviews and whatnot that we provide on Perfect Game TV. Bottom of the 6th we go. 6-5 Black in front, and Casaliba back out there for another inning.
As advertised, we saw the velocity from Casaliba up to 95 in his first inning of work. Problem was some of those came back faster than 95 after they found barrels. His Gold team put together 4 hits before Casaliba struck out the 5th hitter.
Steven Shuka leading off this inning here in the 6th. And a comfortable swing right there from Steven, who did have a RBI double back in the 2nd. Upright stance, hands held high, big rip and a miss, and down on strikes he goes. Well, for Casaliba, and again, he gave up those 4 straight hits. He did strike out the 5th and final batter for the only out he recorded last inning, but then comes back and gets a K to begin this next frame.
He is a South Florida commit, so he will have chance there in Florida to continue to refine his game. Like I said, I'm not sure how many innings before the last year or two that he had, because was a primary third baseman, I believe. In fact, his profile picture and his profile on the PG website is of him making a defensive play in the infield. So this might be a situation with Castaliba as a late teens transition to being a full-time pitcher once that arm strength, the physical maturity that you can see he has, and that might have been his best breaking ball so far. Picks up a third straight strikeout, but as a runner on first base.
Yeah, Max Murray Jr. took a big hack and came up empty, but that ball wasn't remotely close to being caught. Wade Shelley, and he struck out in his only previous at bat.
Yeah, what I want to see out of this at bat from a scouting perspective on Shelley is getting the barrel out more effectively than he has in his game at bats. I mean, he was dominant in BP, as we've talked about, getting the barrel out and turning aggressively. He just hasn't been the same, facing some pretty good velocity in the game so far when the pitchers he's seen. And this is his best. So if he gets a fastball, he's going to get a breaking ball here. Let's see what kind of adjustments he can make.
I think that's a swing, and is, but that ball gets away as well. Corbin Reynolds having a hard time behind the dish, handling that movement.
That's
Castaliba.
21.5 inches of horizontal break.
A lot.
That's huge. That is huge. And when you've got the arm speed to throw 95 and you keep that arm speed on your breaking ball, you're going to create that kind of spin and depth.
Even right there's one where you're just throwing your body on it, hoping to keep it from hitting something behind you. Two and two. Left that one up. Good hitters will put that into play, and Shelley spanks it to left for a single and an RBI. Got the barrel to that one.
Nice at bat there for Shelley. I said at the beginning of that bat I wanted to see him get the barrel out. Yeah, he took a bad swing at a really good slider, but that was 93 up in the zone. You see how he shortened up his swing, got the barrel out front, picks him up himself a base hit and an RBI as a reward.
Ty Kennedy struck out his only time in his second at bat. Reynolds again just fighting it back there behind the plate.
Yeah, and I've mentioned before that I love Corbin Reynolds as a defensive player, but he is really struggling with Castaliba, and it's not unprecedented when you have catcher who's never seen a pitcher before, and Castaliba obviously has some pretty top shelf raw stuff, and Reynolds is struggling with it.
You start maybe changing the pitches you're calling because you're not comfortable.
Yes, and that definitely can happen. But as Castaliba shook off the first sign, wanted to throw the breaking ball, throws it for a strike.
I like that placement where he starts it with that movement.
If you just throw the same location all the time, it doesn't become nearly as effective. And if you can throw it at that was almost at his back of his hip. Breaking in over the inside part of the plate.
Tried it again, but that one poked to right for a base hit. So Kennedy with the single, Shelley around third, sprinting to the plate, scores another run for the Gold team.
Same pitch, got to see the same pitch basically twice. Made the adjustment.
I'll be honest with you here. Castaliba's thrown 9 batters. I know it's not 5 batters. I know it's not 3 outs. That's probably enough for me seeing him right now.
Yeah.
Without him leaving here kind of shaking his head as opposed to understanding, I think a little bit like Tomlinson, that you have movement that not a lot of pitchers have naturally.
Yeah.
It's about the harnessing and the reps and whatnot. Miles May struck out his only time in. Good pitch. I would also say 10 batters in, your focus needs to be on finishing strong. If we're going to go through the formality of 5 batters, then, finish on a positive note by retiring Mace.
There's nothing, whether you're in a 50-player regional showcase or a 320-player national showcase, that's frowned upon as much by the scouts as throws behind runners. Pickoff attempts. We get a stolen base here. Second strike on Mace. Base runner in scoring position.
Yeah, to me, the pitch to get the strike for Casaliba much more important than that stolen base, because he's trying to find a way to get to that end point for him like that.
Yes, 92 fastball for strike 3. That should be the 5th hitter. Yep.
Surely that's enough, guys. That's 5.
Yeah, I can hear the scouts shouting from behind home plate from here.
A little bit of everything for Casaliba. A couple of strikeouts. I think you see the natural ability in there.
Yeah, the natural ability is there. He's going to be a guy who's going to go off to college and hopefully get a lot of repetitions and learn the art and craft of pitching.
We go to the 7th inning. Perfect Game National Showcase Day 2. Last opportunity for the black and gold teams playing this 10, maybe 10-plus inning game. Offense has certainly picked up as of late. On to a new pitcher, though, for the gold team. Aaron Watson. He's a 6'5" right-hander out of Jacksonville, Florida, and a Virginia commit.
If I'm not mistaken, this is our 4th pitcher this game that is listed at exactly 6'5", 205. It's kind of the profile size, which you want to see in a young right-hander. But Watson thrown well this year. A couple WWBA appearances. Looking at a low 90s fastball. Been a good strike thrower. Last year, through 36 innings in PG play, 11 walks, 46 strikeouts, and an .078 ERA. 65% strikes last year. So, young man who's been very effective on the mound and throwing strikes. 17 years, 5 months old. Looks like he has some growing to do. Young in the face.
City's fastball velo jumped up to 95 at times this year alone. His pitchability has grown as well. And 4-seam, 2-seam, curve, slider, splitter, change. So that's a lot.
Yeah, those are all the pitches he's tried.
2 types of changeups, he says, and a splitter with a Vulcan changeup. So we shall see. He is a fan of Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Trevor Bauer, because of their knowledge of pitching and whatnot, how to read hitters, how to tunnel pitches. He has a brother, Tyler, 23, that was a Division I swimmer and made the Olympic trials.
Okay.
So there you go.
There's some athleticism for you, certainly. Yeah, Watson was up to 93 in his last appearance at the WWBA, 17 and under, pitching for the Scorpions. So, yeah, the fastball has taken a little bit of a jump. We'll see if he can inch up on that from here as well.
He's a guy that said his recruiting process started a little later, but narrowed his list down to 4 schools and called Virginia a no-brainer. So, future Cavalier ready to work here in the 7th inning. Thomas O'Connell lead things off. 1 at bat and a strikeout to this point.
92 on that first fastball. And we've talked about the various college coaching carousel situations, and UVA coach Brian O'Connor always seems named to come up, but he always seems very, very content staying at Virginia.
Yeah, even his was thrown out a little bit for A&M, but stayed in Virginia.
It's a very just like Clint Godwin at East Carolina. The name's always there, but they just seem very satisfied with where they are.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think O'Connor has been at Virginia since, I don't know, 15, 20 years, it seems
a long
like.
time. And, again, I think if I was a coach, I'd be the same thing. If I'm putting a lot of energy into building a program, I'm going to reap the benefits of that.
And if they're taking care of you and you have a family, I know O'Connor's a family man, and your family's well settled and happy, you can't pay enough to get out of that.
Put a ghost runner aboard at first, and then O'Connor with a big wave and a miss.
That was some arm speed on that pitch from young Mr. Watson. That had life, and that was a fast arm.
So 2 strikes on O'Connell. Going to poke one foul to the left and out of play. Into the parents.
Okay, with the left-handed hitter up here and where our booth is, I've got a career goal in mind for today.
Okay.
I have never had in my, somewhat limited number of games broadcast in big league parks, a foul ball hit into the booth I'm broadcasting from. And O'Connell went 2 booths over from us in his first at-bat. And he's got the kind of swing path that's going to hit foul balls over here.
I've caught 2 in this booth in my life, so it'll happen. It could happen, and that one's fouled away.
I'm not saying catching them. I'll be
if it's
perfectly
coming, I'm
happy
catching. No.
getting out of the way of it.
I tell you, the writer's booth wore about 6 of them yesterday in the games, which is to our right, which is more prevalent for the right-handed hitters. We need the lefties to come get us.
We need a lefty to hit about an 8-foot wide gap. That writer's area is about 60 feet wide.
No, if it's coming back, I'm catching the thing. I'm not bailing. Another one poked foul down the line
But you see how just scouting O'Connell's swing, he's hit 4 foul balls now over on.
That's right.
So he's trying to get it back to me.
I caught one. I think it was at an Expos game. Matt Cato was out at second base or shortstop. There's a ground ball up the middle with the runner going. Only a chance to get O'Connell at first for the first out, and I caught it. The next day he goes, "Hey, nice catch. I'm standing out there watching you at second base catch the ball here in this booth in Chase Field."
Custom-made, easy double play, except for the runner who was going. Take the out. Don't try to make the miraculous play at second.
Jordan Jacobs struck out looking in his only at bat. Took the curveball elevated for ball 1 from Watson. Tagged to right. Hit well by Jacob. Back to the fence off the base of the wall. Going to chase home a run on an RBI double from Jacob to tie up the game at 7 apiece. Well struck ball the other way. 358 feet
Yeah, you can't coach strength, and that's just pure strength, driving the ball that hard the other way. And that was a quality pitch from Watson. That was 93 with movement down and away. Jacob went down and got it and just drove the ball opposite field. Yeah, that one's gonna resonate with the Perfect Game staff there, I'll tell you that.
Gabe Boyd, the batter, waves and misses. Gabe reached on a fielder's choice back in the third inning, his other previous at bat in this game. Starts those hands with a low slot, does Gabe Boyd. Get a little bit of a bounce to him between the belt and the letters. Sometimes you worry about those hitters wearing a pitch off their hands, but where right now you won't even see them.
Yeah, well, that I was a little concerned because when you start with your shoulder turned and your hands behind your body, that creates length. You're having to unwind your body and all, and on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, that extra length is going to leave you behind. You're not going to be able to get the barrel out in front, and Boyd had no chance on that pitch.
2 gone for Easton Massey, who also struck out back in the third inning. Strokes foul down the line and right into that screen. So ground out, the double, the strikeout. Really, again, you know, we talk about leadoff walks. The leadoff walk resulting in a ghost runner keeps this inning kind of charged up just a bit. Base runners and whatnot, and that one got away and rolls to the backstop.
And you take away that start, and I was just thinking as you shared your thought that this might be the most impressive inning we have seen so far, in the sense that Aaron Watson's fastball is maybe the best pitch I've seen this game. It has velocity, it has movement, he's throwing it for strikes, he has an idea how to use it. Yes, Jacob got hold of one and crushed it, and that was great hitting. But aside from that, the fastball has been a very high-quality pitch. The breaking ball, he's got absolutely no clue on right now, which is causing him some problems and such. But when he's throwing that fastball, he's going to be just fine.
Play wasn't made it short. Massey will reach. Landon Schaefer couldn't come up with it cleanly. Brings up Chris Levi Gutierrez as the 5th batter this inning. Every once in a while you need a little bit of help too.
Oh yeah.
This was kind of a tweener, so to speak. And the one thing you mentioned about Watson, though, he put that fastball in the zone, he got to put in play, and then you like to get rewarded because then all of a sudden, if you start leaning back towards that breaking pitch, that's the one he's fought.
Yes. And not having seen him before, I don't know whether he characteristically has a quality breaking ball or not, but certainly something that he works through his 2 innings will want to see at some point. I think he tried a little slider there, 85, but again didn't have the great release point on it.
One and one to Gutierrez. Throw to first instead. Long pause from Watson before the pitch. No pitch timer here. I mean, for the most part, we've seen guys work with tempo. We've seen others, I think, when either getting a little bit deep into an inning, whether it's uncertainty or maybe just a certain degree of being tired, you slow down. Good pitch in there for a strike.
we didn't see, except with one or two exceptions yesterday, we really haven't seen today as another chance for Schaefer out at short. Fields that one cleanly. We haven't seen that nice little 8 to 10 pitch inning.
We have not.
Yes, and that's what quickens a game up real fast here.
What we did see this inning was a ringing double from Jordan Jacob. Hit one off the base of the fence in right and not going to run, 1 of 2 for the black team.
And he was happy about
a little
it.
dance.
Yeah. A Canadian shuffle there.
Here's what's on tap in the summer. Got the 10U, 11U PG Invitational up next. 16U National Championship, July 13th. Then the 12s and 9s get their cracks. Working our way deep into July. National Showcase for the 14s at the end of the month. Now that we are officially in the month of July. Meanwhile, new pitcher as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. For the black team, it is Darryl McDowell, 6'4", 185 pounds, out of Atlanta. Lassiter High School, Tennessee commit. You see the PG ranking of 253 for Darryl McDowell. So scheduled to work not only the 7th, but also the 8th. Seen a little more offense as of late. The black team hadn't scored into the 4th. They got a run, then put 2 in the 5th, 3 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th. Gold team, on the other hand, 4 in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th. So Joey Senstock will face McDowell. First batter here in the 7th.
And I think I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we had a 13-10 game yesterday, which is almost unprecedented, and we're kind of headed in the same direction.
Looks like we're trending that way.
And that things like that can equal like 4-hour ball games and such.
On days at least one of us in the booth has a flight to catch it. Senstock struck out back in the 3rd when he faced Roop. Now getting McDowell. And that pitch is upstairs for a ball.
McDowell has just right off the bat has some Tristan McKenzie to him.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I'm just with listed 6'4", 185. McKenzie, I don't think has ever weighed 185, but it's the same long-limbed, high-waisted build. Full hands overhead windup. McDowell's been up to 93. Quality athlete, is running the 6'9s and the 60. Played both outfield and infield. So an all-around athlete for Lassiter High School and the Wow Factor national team.
Senstock swinging away, 3-0, and he drives one to the pool area. It stays in play, so he'll have 2 bases. Does he want 3? Content to stop with a ringing double. 99 off his bat, 373.
We get to continue to see some hard barrels this game. I thought that had a chance to bounce over the right center field fence off the barrel. Didn't quite get that carry, but an easy stand-up double from the young Nebraskan.
Preston Yoncher struck out his only time in, batting for the 2nd opportunity. The Verona, Wisconsin native, Penn State commit.
Ouch. Umpire Ward, I think we had a little cross-up between the catcher and the pitcher, and
That getting flush?
that got him flush.
I saw the ball ricochet, and I thought,
No.
did it hit Youcher on the rebound? Well, it may have because it hit everybody. Hit the umpire, bounced around, and
He can't be very happy right now.
that dent his mask. Yeah, he needs a moment.
Yeah, occupational hazard of showcase baseball as catchers. We've been talking about the interaction between catchers and pitchers who are not used to working with each other. And yeah, there are cross-ups and signs all the time. And
It's happening too often for the sake of these umpires. It
yeah,
feels
umpire, for an umpire, if it happens once, it's too often.
Well, it's happened multiple times.
Yeah.
We've had a couple near misses, and that was a direct shot. I think it more in the jaw area. Then it ricochets, hits the batter, hits a portion of the catcher, but the way he was looking at that mask, I'm like, did that leave an impression? On the ground sharply to second. Youcher will be retired.
And that pitch was in the exact same place. I was beginning to flinch as I saw that fastball going right with that ride in it, the run into the hitter, and I'm like, oh no, that's the same pitch. I hope the catcher gloves it.
Oof. You're right.
Pretty hard hit right at the second baseman, though.
Ethan Moore will bat. So McDowell able to get his first out after the double. Like he tried to guide that slider just a bit.
You got it. You end up dropping your elbow, and you get exactly what you saw there. Flatten out of the zone.
Came back with the fastball and got the swing and a foul tip. Big chopper up the middle. We could have an opportunity at first, not much of one. Pretty good try at second base, but that was going to be a base hit by Ethan Moore and an RBI as well. Gabe Boyd tried to make the jump throw.
Yeah, left-handed hitter at the plate. Moore gets out of the box real fast. Boyd gave it a try, but not much of a chance, really. 4.34 on the time, so a solid big league average time by Moore down to first.
Cameron Beck, the new batter.
Is that narrow stance that you've noticed before?
Well, he has the narrow stance, and then McDowell has that. He's strong on that front leg. His feet are close together, very upright. Very simple slide step. And with the runner going, it's going to be a ground ball into left center for a base hit. And again, you know, when you start to cover, you're creating that vacated hole, but that's a pitch. That's a pretty good effort by McDowell to get a soft ground ball. It just doesn't get rewarded.
Yeah, he's allowed 3 ground balls the last 3 hitters and has picked up 1 out.
That's right.
So a little bit different placement, a little different play.
And the hardest ground ball was the out.
Yes, it was right at the second baseman, hard off the barrel.
Caleb Ricks, the 5th man to hit this inning, the Kentucky native. Ricks bounced out to short when he batted in the 4th inning. So you get that first AB in the 4th, your second at bat in the 7th. Who knows? He might get one more. We've had 20 combined hits in this game. This was 1-0 in the top of the 4th inning, and there's been just nothing but offense since. And it's hard to have multi-run innings, but We've seen 5 multi-run half innings. Maybe another one here. One and one to Caleb Ricks. One of a handful of uncommitted players in this event. That could change over the course of this summer.
And one thing I've noticed through the years about when you have uncommitted players at this stage is a lot of them are actually very, very good students. Some are elite level students, and they have their school that they want to go to, I'm sure with academics filtered in heavily, and maybe they just haven't got the offer yet because of the, just the timeliness of the process. I think that's what happened to Charlie Condon, for instance. We mentioned Condon before, the great Georgia All-American, because I think he always wanted to go to Georgia. He was an excellent student, and until that scholarship became available, he wasn't going to be committed.
5 batters in the inning. We'll step aside, head to the 8th. Well, David, you talked about the theme maybe of this class, and that says a lot.
Yeah, we're looking at the number of players inside the top 50. 23 of the top 50 players in the rankings right now in the 2025 class are left side infielders. And of those same 50, only one of them is a catcher. And that's just a tremendous imbalance. We also have a lack of definition in the pitching class. I won't say a lack of talent, but there's only 2 pitchers right now ranked in the top 15. I know that's a direction with the draft that's really been emphasized too, is, pitchers, high school pitchers just aren't getting picked high anymore. And this class is going to continue to perpetuate that because there just aren't yet those elite pitchers. But the number of left side infielders is just incredible. Absolutely incredible in this class.
Do you sense that maybe a year from now there could be more pitchers in that class, or is it pretty established right now with the number of position players that are at the top?
I think those position players that are at the top, you look at the top 10, those are first round draft choices. We're going to see a serious number of first round high school infielders in the 2025 class. There's only a couple high school position players who are going to be first rounders this year. Bryce Rainier, Connor Griffin, a couple others. In 2025 it's going to be different because there's some darn good ones. And strangely enough, at this event, most of them are on Team 12, the white team. We're going to be seeing them last. You're going to be seeing them on TV, I think. But just incredible. 6 of the top 12 players in the class are on that final white team.
Watson facing Quinn Carson as we go to the 8th inning.
And Watson landed his breaking ball there. That's an encouraging sign. Threw that one where he wanted. That's what I want to see out of Aaron Watson this inning is both command and quality of the breaking ball. He has a really nice fastball, as I said. Maybe the best fastball we've seen is that fastball's hit to shortstop.
Schaefer gets to show off that arm.
And he has that arm. He mishandled a ground ball last inning on a kind of semi-tough play, but made 2 very strong throws on other ground balls. He's certainly getting the ball hit at him and getting his chances.
He is.
This is a nice throw. Went back to get it. Obviously has confidence in his arm playing deep.
I was going to say the same thing. When you're willing to go back and take that big bounce and be 2 or 3 steps on what would be the outfield grass, you can.
Oh no, that was a confident throw right through the chest of the first baseman.
This is Jason Delamar, his potential future college teammate of Schaefer. And I think Schaefer pitches once a week as well. And they do things a little bit differently. They play their opponents back-to-back days. So in some senses, you can't throw your best pitcher twice against the same team. And he'll get his chance to pitch. There's a big bouncer to second. Talk about being back on the outfield grass. And the throw to first is going to be in time. Great effort at second base by Yacher. From a flat-footed stance, able to get enough on that throw to retire Delamar.
Now we're seeing different luck with the ground balls. Watson's getting the ground balls, and these are both tough plays, deep, both from the outfield grass. Nice play by the first baseman there. I think that's Cameron Beck at first base with the scoop. But whereas Darryl McDowell had a little rough luck on his ground balls, Aaron Watson is benefiting from the quality of his shortstop and second baseman.
Nick Diaz, the batter, reached on an error his last time in.
Yeah, you can see with Watson, it's a point of emphasis this inning, throwing that breaking ball. He's throwing it first pitch, 3 or 4 first pitch breaking balls. He's throwing them for strikes. We're going to get another chance for Schaefer at short. Another pick by Beck, and a nice 1-2-3 inning.
Hey, it's been a while.
Aaron Watson.
Been a while since we've seen that. 3 ground ball outs. Watson gets the ground balls with some help from his infielders, making some nice throws.
And I know we like strikeouts in this game, but getting ground balls.
It's a beautiful thing.
You're on a big league infield. It's the best field you've ever played on. Let's get some ground balls.
Mr. Watson at a very efficient top of the 8th, and McDowell will work his second inning here in the bottom of the inning in a game tied today.
Like Watson, McDowell generating ground ball outs or ground balls, just not the outs part of it. See if we can get more of that this inning. And I think his goal this second inning is much like Watson's. He didn't really have a feel for his breaking ball, how he throws that breaking ball. How effectively he throws it for strikes early in the count could dictate how this inning goes.
Here's Joseph Parker.
Of course, he has the disadvantage of opening up against barrel man here, Joseph Parker.
Rifled a single into left for a base hit in the 5th, and then would score a run.
I don't think it's a exaggeration to say that he's barreled up 14 straight balls. Because in batting practice, he was 10 for 10. I think he's 4 for 4 in games. That's the first one he hasn't really squared up at all as he lifts the high pop up to shortstop for out number 1.
Might not have been far from getting another one, though. I mean, you just got under that one too much, and he's covered in filth right now as well.
I think he's been out. He's been our ghost runner a couple times. And you always like to see that from a player. You know, the ones that are on the dugout steps waiting for to be a ghost runner. And they announced themselves pretty early in the process.
Landon Schaefer tripled down the right field line, knocking it a run back in the 5th. Big chopper fouled outside of third base.
Yeah, I think you're going to really enjoy Landon Schaefer at Arkansas the next couple years once he makes it there. He's a confident athlete. He carries himself like he's used to being around sports. You talked about his father.
Women's basketball assistant coach on campus.
He plays like somebody who's very confident and comfortable being there. And that's not something you can say about all these young men, no matter how talented they are. You know, this is a big stage. It's a big league ballpark. The game's fast.
I mean, sometimes it can be hard to make an impression when you're only getting 4 or 5 at-bats in the games outside of the skills, but there's always guys that just find a way to do that time and time again, and Schaefer's down on strike. So all of a sudden, McDowell picked up a couple of quick outs.
And that's what I wanted to see from McDowell, was calm down, get that breaking ball, confident in it, and he snapped off a really good one there for strike 3. So that's really nice to see for the young Georgia native.
Gabe Grollo had an infield base hit, got an RBI in the 5th. Showed off his speed, beat that out, then swiped second base and scored on a double from Wortham, part of a 3-run 5th for the Gold, actually a 4-run 5th inning.
Always like to see that from a catcher. Nobody on base, 2 outs, gets a ball in the dirt, and he still uses his technique, puts his chest in front of the ball. You know, you're basically practicing what you need for when you really need it.
Well, that one just about got the hands of Gabe. He was able to hold them steady as that ball hit just above his hands and ricocheted back to the screen. McDowell wanted that baseball back. He requested that from the coach who picked it up on the backstop.
Okay.
Hey, give me that one. Fastball at 91 is upstairs. On the corner, strike 3 call. Pretty good inning there from McDowell.
Oh, yeah. And he did what I wanted him to do. I'm sure in his mind what he wanted to do, too. The breaking ball is obviously a major weapon for him, and he didn't have it in the first inning, but he had it that inning, threw some real quality ones there. Picked up a couple strikeouts, and just a loose arm, athletically talented young 6'4" right-hander. I think we're going to hear big things from maybe in a few years at University of Tennessee.
Go to the 9th inning, 8-8 game. New pitcher coming on for the Gold team. Scheduled to work a couple of innings. Peter Kusal from Heartland, Wisconsin, a Louisville commit.
And if this is sounding familiar, it is. Height, 6'5", 210.
Not sure what they feed these kids.
Yes, but every pitcher, it seems like, is 6'5", 2 something. You need not apply if you're a 6-foot right-hander anymore,
That's true.
evidently. And I've always loved the idea of being from Heartland, Wisconsin. From the Heartland.
In the Heartland.
Literally and figuratively. Of course, Wisconsin, along with Illinois, the center point of the Louisville Cardinals
No doubt.
recruiting efforts.
Luke Gallo, the batter, tell you a little more about Kusau as he works this inning as well.
Well, I know he's got a really good slider because that was 82 and well located and very well tunneled.
Says he has a high spin rate. Needs to continue to develop his changeup. Has a tendency to walk or hit more batters than he would like, but as he grows into his body and refines his technique, he's improving a bit on that. He's reached 93 and with a curveball there. He's going to get the wave and a miss. Strikes out Gallo to begin the ninth inning.
He has what is a very unofficial scouting term that really doesn't have any true definition, but every scout knows what it is. And he's got some funk in his arm action.
I like some funk.
And it's different every time. Watch his takeaway before his arm starts coming forward. There was some wrap on that, some offline wrap that wasn't there on other pitches. So it's something that he's going to have to work through as he develops. There's obviously arm speed there. There's size. That had some nice sink on it at 90 miles an hour. But there's some funk in back there.
Oh, I like some funk.
You try to get rid of funk.
No, I understand. I think, let's put it this way. I like guys that are a little bit different that can harness it and have success with it. Because what it does, especially if you're pitching in a short amount of innings, is these hitters, it takes them a while just to figure out where that ball's coming from.
Yeah, that's going to add deception. It adds variables is what it does. It adds variables to your arm stroke, your arm timing. It adds variables to, the quality of your stuff, but it also adds deception, to the hitter.
The kid Goodacre who pitched yesterday for the black team, he was going in every which
arms
direction.
And legs everywhere, and he threw strikes. That was one of the best efforts we saw yesterday.
Goldstein's going to be retired barely on that soft flip from Kusau. Peter's got a sister, Natalie, that's 16 years old, and I guess kind of her number one fan, driving back and forth across the state last year as the team was in the state championship. But Peter, as young as 3 years old, would sit and watch the Brewers or the Cardinals on TV, and he was a baseball fan early. Roller is short off the bat of Owen Gregg, and the play is made. So
play is not
no,
made.
It was not made. So instead of a quick inning, Gregg will head to second base. A little bit of communication there at third and short. Who is going to take that ground ball?
Yeah, that's a play that's usually messed up at this level even before the throw goes to first base. But the play was made that the catch just wasn't at first base. And Grayson Burleson having a great day at first base prior to that. Well, that wasn't Grace Burleson. That was Cameron Beck was having a solid day at first base, but wasn't able to come up with that one.
So Manny Lantigua steps in, got an RBI base hit, a few innings back. Kusau likes to watch Clayton Kershaw when healthy, Devin Williams, Ben Joyce, Paul Skeens. All good ones. Concentrated a lot this year on just simply throwing strikes.
Yeah, he is one of these pitchers we've talked a few other examples that cannot throw a baseball straight. Everything he's throwing has huge, 15-plus inch horizontal and vertical to it. Big diving action, and no two arm actions and release points are alike. He threw one from a lower slot that I thought was going to be a changeup that ended up being 92. When he gets on top of the ball a little more, when he throws his curveball, he has a little less funk in back and simplifies the arm action a bit. But the common factor is nothing is straight.
This is in the air a long time out there to right center field. The play will be made. Lantigua flies out to end the inning. 2 out air, the only base runner against Peter Cusa, who's scheduled to work the 10th. He'll send us to the bottom of the 9th inning. Still tied at 8 from Chase Field. New pitchers, we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. It's Nick Newburn. David, another big guy.
Another big guy, 6'6", 200. I said, if you're not 6'5", you don't even need to apply to, ask for an invite to the National Showcase, it seems. But that's a bit of an exaggeration. But Newburn, a big, strong young man, goes to Langley High School in McLean, Virginia. And very interestingly, is committed to go to Penn, Ivy League Penn.
Yeah, Ivy League Penn, and he comes from an athletic family, and I guess it kind of makes a little more sense. Both his mom and dad played Division I college basketball. His mom was at Princeton. His dad played at Brown.
Okay, I see it. I'm sensing a trend here.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of Ivy Leagues. Now, this kid grew up in Chicago because his first Little League coach was Kerry Wood.
Okay.
So that's not something everybody has when they can
and
reach back.
That's what Kerry Wood looked like when he was 17 years old, by the way, 6'6", 200.
Shirley Wortham is going to lead off this inning here in the bottom of the 9th. If you're worried that, hey, listen, that's a tough road to hoe at the Ivy League schools, I would say you shouldn't. His GPA is 4.52. He took 7 AP classes this year. He earned a 34 on the ACT.
A 34 on the ACT?
And by the way, when he's not playing baseball or excelling in the classroom, he likes to collect gently used sporting equipment for a nonprofit in Washington, D.C. Other than that, he's just hanging out on the couch. Wortham will blister one into left field for a base hit to begin the 9th inning.
Wortham's having a nice day at the plate. He's gotten banged up behind the plate catching. He's got some foul balls and such, but when he takes off the tools of ignorance and gets a bat in his hand, he's really shined today.
RBI double earlier. Drew Huenfeld at a triple earlier in the game. Newburn says he has a sinker, sweeper, cutter, changeup arsenal, and sweeper can be wipeout at times. Changeup with depth on lefties. Cutter is 4th offering only if needed. Mostly sinker, changeup to lefties, sinker, sweeper to righties.
Well, that was a 92-mile-an-hour sinker right there with 15 inches of horizontal run to it.
For the second base, not handled cleanly.
And it's always fun, Brett, to hear about these kids who, when they have parents like that. Jason Hayward, the great right fielder, big league right fielder, both his parents went to Dartmouth. Jordan Walker, was played extensively at the Cardinals last year, now down in AAA, trying to get his bat together. His parents went to Harvard and MIT. And you get the sense with these kids who have such high achievement parents that they're wired the same way, that they're going to be successful. Even if, the game of baseball is a little different than the games with books and programs and learning, they're just wired to be successful.
I would completely agree. And I think that's kind of a fun aspect when you start talking to these young men who are 16, 17 years old and what they've already accomplished with their guidance and whatnot. Ewenfeld with a bouncer to second. It'll be handled. And the first out of the inning recorded as Wortham moves up to third base. You know, you go into an Ivy League school, some will say, well, you know, why don't you go to a bigger program? But as we take a look at this one again, Nick is quick to remind us that, hey, they've advanced to the NCAA regionals the last 2 years. So, I mean, that's a program that's looking to play in the postseason every single year.
And we've talked about it earlier today, between innings. Something I've always tried to tell parents and kids is figure out the schools you want to go to, where you should be going, and don't factor in baseball necessarily. And if you want to go to University of Texas because your grandpa and your grandma both went there or something like that, you've got family legacy, then try to go to Texas. If you're academically of that level that you can go to Penn and have that help drive your life, do that. You'll find the baseball to play.
I think it's good advice. I would tell our third base coach he needs to get out of the way as Shuka hit him with a line drive in his chest as he threw his arms up. But no, I think that's advice, and I think we get further and further away from that at times when maybe we need to get more and more back towards that philosophy.
Yeah, now we're thinking about what your facilities are like and what your NIL money is like and how much I'm on TV and it's stuff. No, the college is for a multitude of reasons, and even if you are one of the best 100 baseball players in the country, it's for more than just baseball.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that that NIL component is one that's even taken on a different dimension.
That's taken on a whole new life that I don't think we even know yet. We in the industry, and of course it extends to the other sports as well.
It does,
Revenue
and you
sports.
can't put that genie back in the bottle right now as far as the interest level and the priorities, I guess, is probably the best way to explain it.
Well, it's an evolving game, and it's just nice to see, in some ways, though, with college baseball, with having the popularity now, with having the facilities. So we see a ground ball off the middle, nice range by the shortstop. Turns what is not a routine into play into a pretty routine out there.
Well done by Luke Gallo. Shuka gets the RBI. 9-8 Golden front.
Yes, just nice range, nice first step. That was all done on the first step quickness. Got to the ball in plenty of time. Good play. But anyway, it wasn't too long ago that, the idea of paying the highest level coaches $1 million or paying kids
just a third assistant
$100,000, in NIL money. And I know some dads and parents, and I'm like, what kind of money are we talking? And they'll say six figures. NIL money for good players and all. And that's real money. And that money didn't exist in college baseball, in the very recent past.
Funny thing is, let's fund the scholarships, too. I mean, I think that's coming at 11.7 and whatnot for both the bat and ball sports, baseball, softball.
Very good point.
And that would help. But I think we're concerned in college sports in general that the delineation between the haves and the have-nots will only increase. And I think in college baseball, I think that is going to get stretched further.
Okay. That's hard to argue with right there.
I mean, we all love the College World Series. When it becomes the SEC Invitational, I don't know how the rest of the world perceives it.
And I was just talking to a great friend at Perfect Game who just moved out of being a recruiter in a couple mid-major schools. And he said, I pretty much knew anybody I recruit and all was just coming to my school to play and go to a bigger school.
Like a minor league program.
I just started recruiting junior college guys who were going to come there and stay for 2 years because recruiting freshmen just wasn't going to work.
Yeah, that's really part of the problem as Max Murray continues to see some pitches from New Bern that miss because you become a farm team, in essence, for the Power Fives or Power Fours. Now, there's not even a Power Five. Pitches a strike, throws a strike, and that's going to be not in time.
There's appeal from the dugout here get a second opinion on that. So I think that's Massey behind the plate. Would be his third?
Well, if we get a little casual with this tag or whatnot, or just missed it.
Yeah, I think he just missed the tag. Well, as we talk about different colleges and different levels, one thing I can say with some confidence is there's a lot of power schools, ACC, SEC schools that would love to have elite student Nick Newburn in their pitching
no
staff
doubt.
because it's 89, 92. You mentioned in his self-scouting his sinker frequently, and that's his big go-to pitch. You know, he's gotten soft ground ball contact, and everything's down there at the knees. You know, he stayed very efficient.
His academics, he wouldn't have to worry about a partial scholarship at any school.
No, he's free.
That's right.
He's free wherever he goes.
That's got to be strike 3. It is to end the inning. So Newburn scheduled to work one more. He struck out Murray. Did give up a run. Lot to like, though, and he's going to send this game into the 10th inning. 9-8, Golden front. Here's the top 60-yard dash times we saw yesterday. Be in the top 10, you had to be sub 6.5, but again, 4 more teams. We'll look to see how many players they can put on that leaderboard later today and tonight.
That's going to get smoked, by the way, in my opinion. There's going to be plenty of 6.2s.
I like that. What might be on tap later on today? These were the catcher pop times, and again, this is probably the metric of all that maybe I won't say interests me the least.
Yeah, the two most impressive catchers to me here so far, Grindlinger, obviously, he's superior, and then Shambo, who's been outstanding in games and really had great defensive fundamentals and makes accurate throws.
Cusal back to work here in the 10th inning. Damian Montanez is going to lead things off. He singled in his one at bat so far in this game.
Yeah, we'll see Trent Grindlinger in the next game, but when I looked into his notes that were already in the database from the scouts, they were rather effusive after watching his batting practice.
Like complimentary?
109 exit velocities and, you know, highest level bat speed and all on a catcher. So,
because he had several 103s, 105s, 10 everything.
Nines.
Yes.
And he was already considered probably the best defensive catcher in the country. So.
Chabot at third, thrown on the run, and Montanez will be retired. Really good effort at third base. Play was made by Ethan Moore.
Yeah, those are those athletic defensive plays that big leaguers, you know, high level college players make easy. And when you see it at this level, you go, oh, I recognize that. That's how a big league player would handle that. It's not an easy play. It's a high chopper. You don't get that first step. You're going to be out of position to make a solid throw, and that was perfectly executed by Moore.
Corbin Reynolds with a soft liner to short for the second out. Peter Cusal just gets some quick outs, and you know he worked around a ball that was thrown away last inning, and then just got his final out and keeps on rolling.
Cusal's being very effective, and it's that movement, you know, that he's creating. It's creating soft contact. He's got, you know, 2 soft contacts already. Drops that breaking ball in for strike 1.
Burleson singled in a run in his last at bat. I think that's a swing. It is 1-1. Soft pop-up, hit foul, heading towards the sidewall, and it's out of play. As Beck gave chase to no avail.
Do we have any action in the black bullpen down in the right field corner?
We do.
That might be Manny Lantigua. I've sort of been monitoring to see whether we're going to have a top of the 11th inning for Lantigua to throw. Maybe only throw to 3 hitters, but get a chance on the mound.
Bring him in right now if you want to see him. We can just accelerate that. Peter's been efficient and effective, and he's going to get the strikeout.
Okay,
And David, he faced 7 batters, and only an error kept him from facing 6.
Yeah, that was a very impressive outing. Nothing straight, quality low. Okay. Let's see what we're going to have here. We're going to keep the gold players out in the field.
It's like Max Murray is going to come on to pitch.
Max Murray. Okay.
Was not on our list pitching-wise.
Yeah, he was not who I was anticipating coming out there. But Murray will come out. He's, touched 90 before from the mound. He threw in the low 90s from first base. So he will not be throwing a full inning or anything with, Gold still out in the field, but it's a chance to maybe throw 10, 15 pitches and show what he can do. But yeah, I wasn't even looking into the Gold bullpen. I was trying to figure out what the black team was going to do.
Well, they share the bullpen, so there was both Gold and Black working down the left field line, and I'm guessing there's more to come.
I know we still have another inning from Nick Newburn, so we're not wrapping the book
That is correct.
On Nick. But yeah, you've got to be a little versatile when you're accounting for things at a Perfect Game Showcase of any type, because the idea is to showcase the kids' talent.
William Patrick is waiting to step in along with Gottsagen. We'll see how many pitches, how many hitters Max Murray might face here in the top of the 10th inning.
And I think it's too late to jinx it now, but we were at over 2 hours after 6 innings. And
yes.
The game was kind of dragging, and we're now in the 10th inning, and we're just barely passing 3 hours. So this game has picked up nicely. The pitchers have done a nice job of creating soft contact. That's a reflection, I think, of, our pitchers early. Game was going slowly. We're very breaking ball centric. And I think we've got a number of our pitchers lately, including the last 2, who are going real heavy with the sinkers, creating ground ball contact. We've got to see the infielders make a number of nice plays. We've got some fortunate base hits that have just trickled through the infield as well. But it's been a cleaner game with the fastballs rather than the breaking balls.
I would tend to agree. I think that's been a consistent storyline of this contest. I think Murray threw about 40 warm-up pitches. I think he's ready to go, and now William Patrick will get a chance to bat again. He was thinking maybe his time was done, but he's going to get an extra AB, which these hitters like.
I think Peter Cuso got 3 outs way too quickly.
Maybe that was
like 6 pitches, and Murray just didn't have the chance.
That could have been it. Maybe he was too efficient.
Yes. Our home plate umpire.
I was fearful for like a split second for him.
Down early on that one. You were just joining us. Young gentleman in the mask took one square in the mask.
Well, he
got
did.
a cross up earlier, and it had to sting, and he remembers it.
Fouled back and out of play. Left that one high to Patrick. The LSU commit out of Monroe, Louisiana. I think the locals call it Monroe.
That sounds familiar.
Front door breaking ball rolls in for a strike. And that's a wave and a miss. So Murray fell behind, but was able to battle back and get the K on William Patrick. Sagan singled in the sixth inning, went down on strikes back in the second, so a chance for him to get a third at bat as well for Trevor.
Yep, Murray's out there hunting his number.
He's done that in the first pitch of both batters he's faced.
He's hunting his number. He got his number 91 there. Got Sagan clearly in the hip.
Yeah, the curveball then got him.
And Greg Sabers, you could see him standing back there. I think he was saying switch it up, or is he going to let Got Sagan? Or take Got Sagan out. He caught that squarely in the hip. Put another hitter in.
Thomas O'Connell is the hitter. O'Connell bounced to short in his previous at bat, also struck out. Connecticut native, Vermont, or I should say the Virginia commit. Fouls one right back to the netting. Max Murray from Winter Springs, Florida, Haggerty High School. It's popped up back to our left, going to be out of play. Off the facade of the upper tank and then bounding back downstairs. Murray has a sister, Nina, that played softball, was a swimmer. Another sister that played softball, volleyball, basketball. A four-year starter at FAU, and she gets credit for teaching him the foundations of his swing. So if she was a pitcher, she could also help in that regard, but she takes care of the swing.
My sister, the hitting coach.
Wave and a miss. Down goes O'Connell, so that's two batters faced, two strikeouts.
And now I think we're going to switch it up, Brett.
Okay. Kind of see what you need to see out of that with two batters faced.
Got to see the full arsenal of pitches, changeup, curveball, fastball up to 91.
Top of the 10th plus sends us to the bottom of the 10th in Game 1, Day 2 here in Phoenix. Indoor baseball here in Phoenix. That's the way we like it in the desert, in Zona. We go to the bottom of the 10th inning. Outdoor baseball be a little bit rough.
I was just, as you said that, I was thinking about, okay, what's the last time I really did much outdoor baseball? And I've done it in Mesa when it was 118, and you think about spring training games and summer games. And I remember actually once at a showcase, a scout went down and got a 6-pack of eggs just to see whether the eggs would fry up on the bleachers. So it's anything to pass the time, but maybe get a free meal out of it. Who knows?
I had 6 years in the Pacific Coast League down the road in Tucson, where it was all outdoors in the summer, and that was intense. New Bern had a really good ninth inning and works here in the 10th, at least to start. Ty Kennedy leads things off. Singled in a run and has struck out in his 2 at-bats to this point.
And I expect nothing but efficiency from New Bern here.
Might get a pop-up to shallow left, and the shortstop able to range out and make the play, so not too much trouble for Gabe Boyd.
Interestingly, New Bern working from the stretch, even though with no runners on here in the 10th inning. I love it when I see especially big young pitchers working from the stretch, because the challenge when you're 6'6" and 17 years old often is just being able to repeat. It's, you know, a complicated athletic action throwing a baseball, and the key is repeating it. And the more variables you put in, the harder it's going to be to repeat. The more variables you remove, and by going to the stretch as one of those, the easier it should be to repeat and thus throw strikes.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, right?
And you may, you know, lose a mile or 2 an hour of velocity without a full windup. You may not. But as I remember reading long ago, you know, somebody watched Greg Maddux between starts, and he would throw all his bullpens from the stretch. And somebody asked him, why do you throw your bullpens from the stretch? He says, all my most important pitches are thrown from the stretch. So that's what I should be practicing.
Miles Mace has a count of 2-1. That is a mile-high pop-up right side into the rafters. Burleson there to put it away.
So we have New Bern, who's thrown 5-6 pitches this inning, has gotten 2 infield pop-ups on 77-mile-an-hour breaking
That's
balls
right.
that were perfectly located.
In the zone. Joey Sinstock doubled back in the 7th. It's a little one-hopper to second base, kind of a tricky bounce, and the play is made, and Sinstock is retired, and New Bern, David, just cruised through that inning.
People are like, are we going to have another batter? He just threw 5-6 pitches.
Well, I think Lantigua's going to pitch. So the question is, when does he going to
Okay,
throw?
they're going to leave the black team out in the field, just as we did last inning.
Of course, we have to find him. There he is. So Manny was warming up earlier, and then he came racing into the dugout, I think, to be ready for a scenario such as this.
And we got the same thing happening as with Peter Kusal in the top, who throws, you know, New Bern throws 5-6 pitches and gets it done. And Lantigue was like, wait a minute, I'm not ready yet, coach. And he'll get a few warm-ups, of course.
He was throwing for quite some time in the bullpen, so he's been in the dugout now for this half inning, but it doesn't take long as far as a physical standpoint of feeling loose. It's just about getting on that mound. So Manny will throw to at least a couple of hitters, we would think, here in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Probably 2, just as it was last time.
New Bern cruised through that 10th with a couple of pop-ups and a soft ground out. Also pitched in the 9th. So most of these pitchers throwing 2 innings. These non-primary pitchers getting a little bit of a chance.
Yeah, let's look at some more arm strength with the outfield throws for this first group. Nothing touching the 100 mark, the 102s that we've seen in the last 2 years, but Jason Delamar and Danny Wallace with very representable 97s.
Infield throws, Jaden Stroman right there at the top. Manny Lantigua at 94. Of course, now we're seeing Manny on the mound.
Yes, that's where it's going to be interesting. Lantigua, by the way, is one of the youngest players here, only 16 years, 8 months old.
Didn't have a lot of first baseman throwing. Max Murray Jr., we just saw him on the mound as well.
Yeah, he was 91 on the mound, 91 from first base. And now we'll see what Manny Lantigua is from the mound. If he can replicate that 94, especially in the context. Like I said, he's only 16 years, 8 months old. He looks more mature in the face and the body. He's really added some positive weight over the last year or two, but still very young and, may have that potential on the mound. Certainly working quickly from that semi-stretch position.
Preston Yacher hitting for the third time. He's grounded out, struck out. Andy, not a big guy, but 90.5 on that fastball. I clip him? Just missed it.
Just missed it. No, I think it must have clipped him. I think we had the umpire signaling for a. No, son, you're not going over to
Surely
run.
he wouldn't go run, would he? Are we violating all showcase rules here at the very end?
Evidently. Or we just didn't have a ghost runner available.
Well, we could just skip the ghost runner and let him swing, couldn't
Yeah.
we?
We're in kind of a.
So Ethan Moore will bat. You might have to get a clarification just from my understanding at some point. That one poked fair down the line and left and into the corner. Yacher will turn third and come racing on once that ball kind of died in foul territory off the sidewall. And Moore gets an RBI double to add to the Gold lead.
Put a nice swing on that 92-mile-an-hour fastball. We've seen nice athleticism in this game from Moore. See some bat speed there. Ball came off the barrel hard. A little speed on the bases as well. He's thinking three. Now, let's shut it down.
No need. Cameron Beck has singled in a couple of at-bats. He might be the final hitter. A little pop-up here over the screen, back into the seats. Antigua working up just a little more on that fastball, 91.9. Good breaking ball.
Yeah, he has confidence that slider. He threw it his first two pitches, which jumped out at me right away. So that's the pitch in his mind. That's his go-to pitch. Throws another one there, misses low.
$18 runs in this game. Maybe the final batter. We'll find out. Pitch in there for a strike, and I think that'll be the case. And David, we were wondering if offense or pitching might kind of take hold, and I think for the most part, in the middle of the game, we saw a lot of base running.
We saw a lot of base runners. We saw a lot of barrels. Saw aggressive hitting, but in the end, we saw some nice pitching too.
We did.
I'm going to look forward to seeing Nick Newburn's name more, because I think even though he's going to go to Penn and become a genius in the classroom, I think you were going to hear about him as a pitcher as well, as we see some of the pitching highlights here.
Gold with a 10-8 win over the black team coming up. 12:50. Columbia Blue against the gray team. One more game for this group of 4 teams. So David and I will be back soon. For our crew, I'm Brett saying thanks for tuning in today for the Perfect Game National Showcase on perfectgame.tv. 10-8 our final. Gold with the win.